It's beautiful and a bit chilly out here in central El Paso. We are here. We've been talking about it for weeks, and the day has finally come. We are at the Mighty Mujer Triathlon, now in its 7th year. Good morning, I'm Natasha Paloma.
And I'm Alejandra Briones, and we are so excited to be here. It's just a great day for a race.
It really is. Good morning, everyone. I'm Elizabeth O'Hara. I'll be your race color commentator today. And you can hear the music is just cranked up behind us. The athletes are now starting to line up as they get ready to begin the sprint part of this 2-distance race. There is a sprint portion to this. There is a super sprint. Sprint is getting ready to start in just a few minutes.
Yeah, and the sprint is the longer version of the race. So they have to do the bike trail twice. They have to run the trail 3 times.
That's right.
And so right now they just basically wrapped up all the rules and regulations and everything they have to follow. And it was just very exciting. You could hear the athletes cheering as they're getting ready to start the swim portion of this.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the swim portion. So everybody lining up again right now.
You can see it right now.
Yeah, you can see them there. The sprint part is 300-yard swim.
Yeah, both
are
the 300-yard
swim. So they're going to snake through that pool.
Yes. So this is the Memorial Park pool. The water's fairly warm. I think we
85 degrees.
85 degrees. And they are going to be doing the 25-yard swim. That's how long this pool is. So every 10 seconds, another woman will be getting into the water, and they will swim down one length of the pool. They will go under a lane line, and now they begin to go in both directions, down and back, until they are done with the swim, and then they will come out into what's called transition 1, where they will get the bikes. But what we're looking at right now is the athletes starting to line up. In just a moment, they'll be coming out of the water. They're certainly interested in what the weather is. So let's check in with our chief meteorologist, Chuck DeBroder, who is standing by live right now at Nashville in Alabama, which is one of the points along the bike route. Chuck.
Hey, thank you, Liz, and good morning, ladies, Natasha, Alejandra, and Gabriella. Boy, I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to reintroduce News Channel 9, Sandra Ramirez. You'll be co-anchoring the Today Show with Alejandra Briones, right?
That's right, weekdays from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. If I look like a familiar face, I've worked in El Paso before, at KTSM before, so I'm very happy to be back in my hometown and just kind of waking up with everybody every morning.
Well, we're happy to have you, and I'm happy to have you here next to me, a ray of sunshine. And speaking of sunshine, we'll have sunny skies today. Now, the winds have picked up a little bit out of the northwest here at about 5 to 7 miles per hour. They may get a little bit stronger, but not out of the breezy range, which is good and not windy like yesterday. We start off in the 50s. By the end of the race, we'll be around 60, 70 by lunchtime, and then we're on our way to a high temperature of 80 degrees. We have an ideal weather-wise day here. Unlike the wind yesterday, I'm glad it's not that windy. I'm excited to see the cyclists barrel down Alabama. Liz, I'm a little scared about how fast they're going to go down this hill, right?
All right, Chuck. Thank you, and nice to see Sandra back here too.
Yeah, and he's talking about the bike track, and he's very excited to see that. I am too, actually, just because I feel like the cycling part is the most intimidating part of the triathlon, at least for me personally.
It really is, and where Chuck was, he's talking about, I'm excited to see how fast they're going to go. Just as a point of reference for those of you back home, the speed limit on Alabama is 30 miles an hour. As these cyclists start coming back down Alabama as part of the route, the fast ones are going to be clocking about 32, 35 miles an hour, so they're going to be going just as quick as a car.
Yeah, and that's fast, and they're not in an actual car where they're enclosed in an area. They're free.
All the elements are hitting them.
But I mean, luckily, Chuck said it's not going to be too windy, but still, those breezes kind of.
Yeah, you've done this 5 times, Liz.
I have.
So tell us about, you're in 85-degree water, feels nice, but you get out,
it's
wet, and it's 50
outside.
degrees. What is that like?
It's shocking. It's a little shocking to the body, honestly. You come out, like you said, you were wet, your heart is pumping, you were in a race. Again, you were racing the clock. You were really trying to get your best time. and you come outside to start getting ready to get your bike. And as beautiful as it is, there's no wind right now. It is chilly. So they have a challenge ahead of them.
Yeah, and so today we are broadcasting again. This is for the very first time, the Mighty Mujer Triathlon. So we have a crew all over the trail, and actually we have Don in the cycling area where they turn, and let's toss it over to him. Don, is that turn kind of intimidating for maybe an athlete coming down there?
Ladies, good morning. You know, this is actually going to be, if you're doing the sprint triathlon, this is mile marker 11. If you're doing the super sprint, you're at about 2.5, 3 miles. The good news is when you get to this point, you turn around, and Susie Castillo, who's joining me, nice view, right?
Yes, it's a beautiful view. Now, as the bicyclists will be coming up, there's beautiful mountains to look at that they'll be looking at on their way up. And of course, they'll be taking the turnaround at Pierce here, and they'll be headed down. Now, at this point, the bicyclists will be at the highest elevation on the bicycle lane. That's at 4,200 feet.
That's high.
That is very high. So if we see some of those bicyclists kind of exhaling and kind of tired, that's
we'll know
why, yeah.
So we'll be keeping our eye out on this point of the race. A lot of cheers here, so we'll be sure to cheer them on. Back to you ladies at the studio.
And one of the things they mentioned was elevation. You know, we live in a pretty good elevation here in El Paso all the way around, but we've got people who have come from all over the country today to be a part of the Mighty Mujer. And elevation for some of them that are coming from places like Virginia, Tennessee, this is going to be a challenge for them, especially as they're going up that hill on Alabama. They will be breathless. They will be their heart will be pumping as they try to get that oxygen to their legs. So
yeah, and maybe using muscles that they haven't used before if they weren't training in higher elevation.
Certainly that'll be true this morning.
So after that turn, they go down Alabama, and then they're going to hit something called Heartbreaker Hill.
Heartbreaker Hill.
They call that name for a reason. Tell us about Heartbreaker Hill.
So as you were mentioning, they're going to go ahead and they are going from the Memorial Park area, going up Alabama as if they were going to McKelligan Canyon. But before they get there, they're going to make that turnaround where Don and Susie are. They're going to come flying down Alabama, taking a right as it becomes Arizona Street. And about a quarter mile in, they will be able to see Heartbreaker as they are approaching it. Those are the 2 hills that are there by Sierra Medical Center. And that is where we have Andy Morgan and Monica Cortez, who are standing by right now at Heartbreaker. How's it looking out there, guys?
Well, good morning, ladies. It's a beautiful day. You heard you guys mentioned it, as well as Chuck DeBroder mentioned it. Monica would probably know better than me, but seems like a beautiful morning, and that's right. We're here at Heartbreaker Hill. Depending on how you look at this race, it's really interesting whether or not you look at it optimistically or pessimistically.
Oh, absolutely. The one thing that we're a little concerned about right now is that there are a lot of cars coming on down, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and we're just seeing the first swimmer is right there. She just got in there. They're going fast.
Yeah, and again, we have to remember they're starting with the sprint portion of this race. So this is the athletes that are a little bit faster, the ones who have clocked in those faster times. And I guess just to give you guys kind of a little bit of explanation of what's happening here, every 10 seconds a swimmer is jumping into the water. You can see that right there. You'll see that the athletes all have marked on their body. They have their numbers, they have their age, and around their ankles they have a chip. And that chip is going to basically keep track of their time as they go through this race.
There's some like electronic mats there, and that clocks them in.
That's right.
And just to give you a little bit of perspective, the quicker athletes, it takes them about 4 minutes.
So these athletes that you're seeing right here, the sprint runners, swimmers, these guys are probably going to be getting out of the water in about 4 minutes. So they're going to swim 300 yards in about 4 minutes. An average swimmer would be somebody like me. They're probably going at about 6-7 minutes instead. These guys are super speedy. And as you saw in that tight shot where everybody is getting in, there you go, they're jumping into the water, and you can see in that far right lane that we're looking at, they're just going in one direction. But as they start to go under the lane lines and start doing the rest of the swim portion, they will be going back and forth. So you've got swimmers, you can see there a flip turn, which helps. You can see she's starting to come up on that swimmer right ahead of her. She may be forced to pass. And that'll be something that, you know, as you're an athlete, you really don't want to crash into the person who's coming in the opposite direction. But it is entirely possible as well for you to swim and then your hands slap the feet of the person who's in front of you. Remember, they're only 10 seconds ahead of you. So at that point, you could get to the end of the swim, pull over and let the person pass you simply because you don't want to be crashing into the pool.
Yeah, and there's a lot of rules that go into this triathlon, and the rules are a very important part of this. I think with the swimming, you can't be brushing elbows, and you can get penalties if you don't follow these rules.
Right.
Certainly.
It's important to point out that the race is not about the women racing each other. It's against the clock. So since like Ale mentioned, every swimmer gets in 10 seconds. So they're just, I guess, based on time. So there are a lot of rules and penalties. We have some of that for you so you can follow along.
Okay.
We're going to get to that story in just a second with regards to the rules, but as you were seeing in that live shot, just because you were the first, dozen or so in the water does not necessarily mean that you're going to be within the first dozen who are winning.
Yeah.
Remember, you can be a very quick swimmer here and maybe not as fast on the bike or not as fast on the run. So this is not a determining factor. You were mentioning the rules earlier. We're certainly keeping an eye on what happens insofar as the swim. When they get out onto the bike, there are a number of rules, and that's where you're probably most likely to get a penalty, which is a time penalty. We talked earlier this week with USA Triathlon referee who is out on the course today. His name is Mike Baker. Let's go ahead and look at that story now.
From the swim to the bike and the run, the Mighty Mujer Triathlon offers a challenging course for seasoned athletes and those new to the sport. In fact, 60% of the athletes will be first-timers. They aren't competing against each other. They're racing the clock. And if they don't follow the rules, they can easily be assessed a time penalty. First, the swim.
The rules for the swim are very simple. Just be respectful of your competitors. You don't want to be banging elbows with them. And if you need to, if you get into stress in the swim, you can actually pull off to the side and wait there until you can get yourself together again and proceed.
Once out of the water, athletes head to what's called Transition 1 or T1. There, the women will run to their bikes, get their shoes and helmets on and head out on the road. But they do so in a challenging field of hundreds of bicycles.
Sometimes a lot of balloons like to show up in there so they can mark their area.
Right.
And the problem with the balloons are it's really nice, it's very festive. The problem with the balloons are that the wind likes to blow, as we had today, and they like to get into other people's faces. And so we don't encourage that. They're not exactly illegal, but I do say if they do inhibit the other competitors, I will assess a penalty.
Once on the course, cyclists are not allowed to draft, nor can they get help if something happens like a flat tire. Both these violations will result in a time penalty. But the most penalties come on the run.
I've disqualified competitors on the course for not completing the run course, since there's several loops that needs to be completed. If a competitor comes in short and we look at the run times and they seem to be a little bit too fast, we'll confront that competitor and ask them, how many armbands have you received, how many laps did you run, and that kind of thing. And if it's too short, then we'll just disqualify them.
All right, everyone, this is what you're looking at. The first competitor is now on the bike trail. We saw her as she was coming out of the pool. She ran over to what is called Transition 1, put on everything she needed for her bike ride, and now she is on the go. And it is just, this happened all so quickly. I wasn't expecting for everything to happen so fast, but these ladies are moving. And look at what you're seeing right now. No one, this woman right now just came out of the water, and you can tell that she
is truly mighty.
Yeah, very
name perfect.
No words for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was unexpected. I don't know that anybody told us that we had an athlete with these abilities, and just amazing. So she is getting her leg on. She will be running out into transition just as everybody else does. You can see she's putting on her socks. Again, for those of you at home, if you've ever been wet just getting out of the bathtub or out of the shower and you don't towel off, you know how difficult that is and how that fabric is rubbing against you, right? So she is getting that, as are all of the other athletes. Sometimes they will wipe down, sometimes they won't, because again, this is about time. When you come out of the water, ideally what you would love to do is to be able to get out of transition in 60 seconds or less. So that means you are running out barefoot, getting out to your bike, you dry your feet, you put on your shoes, probably your sunglasses.
There she goes.
A helmet, there she goes. A helmet is mandatory. You cannot leave the transition area without your helmet on. She will walk her bike to the area where she is allowed to mount, because you're not allowed to ride your bike here. Obviously, you have a lot of people who are going through transition, and if you had cyclists in that area, then that would be very dangerous. So you mount outside of transition 1, and then you begin your ride. So they are shooting out of Federal Street up to Alabama. They will take the right at Alabama, but you can see now a number of the swimmers starting to come. There's a woman in the background who's kind of walking. She's probably a little breathless. You see the others again. This is about time. And truly triathlon is a sport of individuals done in a large group. So it's just a great sport to be a part of.
Yeah, and it's also important to remember that they're being timed while they're in transition. So the clock doesn't stop just because you're getting ready to hop on your bike. The time keeps going. The clock is ticking. And so we've been out here pretty early. The athletes came out early as well. And Liz, you were telling us they get here early so that they can place their bikes in a location that they know they can get to quick and easy, to not waste any time.
Yeah, I was talking to a security guard, and I asked him, when did they start lining up? 3 a.m. 3 a.m. for a good spot.
For a good spot, especially on a race like this, where you've got a lot of people who are brand new. These are, I believe the field here is about 42% of first-time triathletes.
That's a lot.
It is, and so they're going to want to go out. They're going to rack their bike as close to the mount line. As you can see here, she's mounting her bike and getting ready to take off. They're going to want to mount their bike on the outside of the rack, and then as close to the mount line as possible, so that they don't have to run with their bicycle through transition. So really, again, it's about time saving.
All right, let's talk about what they're wearing. I'm very interested in this tri-suit. It makes it easier, right?
Sure.
More versatile to swim in.
So one of the things that you're going to notice as you're watching our live picture here is that everything is varying. You'll see there the two-piece suit.
Right.
Sometimes you'll see something that looks a little bit more like, quite frankly, like an adult onesie. In fact, I brought one out here for you to see. So, these are tri-kits. This allows you to swim, bike, and run all in one outfit. There's really no wasting of time in that you're not having to put on a pair of shorts over your wet swimsuit, or you're not having to put on a bicycle jersey, what have you. It has the chamois and the shorts, so that's a little bit of padding. That way when you get onto your bicycle, for women, sometimes we need a little help there.
A little cushion.
A little cushion. It's very nice. It's a comfort that we want to have. So that's going to be involved in the chamois here, but you would also find, go ahead and hold that up.
Yeah,
so this is, so this is the tri-kit, and this allows you, and it also dries really quickly. So when you get out of the water and you're on the bike,
you don't stay wet your entire ride.
You don't stay wet the entire time. But you're going to find varying variations of what's being worn. So for instance, they could be wearing bike shorts as well. And as you can see, this has a little bit more of a thicker padding. But if you were to wear this in the water and this gets wet, you're going to be pretty uncomfortable on your bike ride. So this isn't exactly ideal, although you will see that again, because we have a number of people who are brand new to the sport. This is their first race. Sometimes you will see a couple of questionable things. For instance, in a little while, we may see somebody try to take off on the run and they're still wearing their bike helmet, because just in trying to get through transition 2, they didn't think about it. The other thing that all of the athletes are wearing today is their race number. And one of the easy ways to do that is that they're going to perhaps have that on a race belt, in which case they just go ahead and attach their race number here. They put the belt on and it's done, instead of having to try and put a safety pin on, and again, you're losing time. This is really just about being very fast. So those initial cyclists that we just saw coming out of the water here in the last 2 minutes are probably going to be where Chuck and
Sandra. We have a large crew.
Chuck and Sandra. So they're going to be seeing them probably in about 2 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes is when they're going to start to see them.
Okay, let's talk about the age range here. I mean, it's such a big range. We start at 12 years old all the way to 69 years old. And like you were saying, a lot of them are first-timers, 43% first-timers.
Yeah, and this whole race, what I love about it, or what I've, everything we've been covering this for weeks. What I love about it is that anyone can do it. I mean, your grandma, your little sister, as we just saw, the woman who had to put on her leg. There is no limits to who can participate in this. And yes, right now we do have,
that's where Chuck and Sandra are. So that first cyclist that we saw coming out of the water just passed them. Chuck, Sandra, how is it looking out there? Yes. Are you starting to see some more cyclists?
We had the first cyclist really speed on by. I was amazed, Sandra, how fast she was going. And, of course, we gave her a chair, and she gave us quite a smile as she was riding by. Happy to be cheered along here. And I don't know how fast she was going,
super energetic. She was moving fast along, and she's coming up a hill. We have some more cyclists coming up over the hill now, and you're heading north on Alabama, so this is all uphill for them, and they are coming in strong along this mountain. If we want to kind of turn the camera around so we can get a look at these cyclists that are coming up, we have a group of about 4 cyclists right now, so we're going to go ahead and flip it over so you can take a look at them approaching, coming up over that hill. A lot of them strong. You can see just coming through, not slowing down at all.
And just to give you some perspective, we're right here in front of Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, and this hill coming up Alabama is
it's a tough one.
It's a tough one. And yay!
Woo, good job!
See that?
Cheer them along, show them our support.
A lot of hard work, a lot of prep going into this. Now, going up the hill, they don't have to worry about drafting, but of course drafting is not allowed here, and that's where they follow each other to cut the wind, and wind can really keep you from, working a little less harder if you get somebody else to break that wind for you. You can't do that in a triathlon, so they're riding side by side. We have another cyclist coming up here as well. Now, I'm excited about seeing them go down the hill. Sandra?
That's right. Yeah, let me see them go down and come right back up.
Okay, Liz, we're going to send it back to you as now we have even more competitors coming on by.
Chuck. Yeah, thank you, Chuck. We were noticing right now that those were men, and I was teasing that those are wannabe Mighty Mujeres. Alabama is actually a really good training ground. You see a ton of people starting in about February, March, pretty much until October, using that because they will be riding from the west side through Alabama, up McKelligan, perhaps out to Magnetic, Hondo Pass, and then shooting out toward northeast El Paso. Those guys were obviously not part of the race, but what you
did
just
see, snuck in.
Yes, but what I wanted to point out is you saw them kind of riding 3 across, and we were talking a little bit ago about the rules. That would not actually be allowed within the race because as you start coming up on a slower cyclist, you have 15 seconds to pass that cyclist or pull off. And so that would be a good example of something that we would not want to see within this race because that would result in a penalty.
Something that would cost you a penalty, right? And we were speaking with the referee earlier today, and he explained that. So you get your first penalty, you get 2 minutes added to your time. Second penalty, 4 minutes. And then if you get a third penalty, then you're just eliminated.
Correct.
And so these rules are very important. These women have been training, some of them for months and months, and especially, probably these first timers who aren't used to this kind of rigorous activity. I'm sure that they have been training constantly, and it would just be very unfortunate for them to be eliminated for something, like breaking a rule.
Right. Yeah. Gabriela Gallegos, who's the race director, said that she used the acronym DNF, did not finish.
You don't want to do that.
No, for a triathlete, that's just talk about heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You don't want to have that next to your name. So you really do want to go ahead and just be cognizant of, what the rules are and making sure, especially on the bike, because on a bike, if you are not abiding by the rules, you could get hurt. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I wanted to point out is, that cyclist that we saw passing by where Chuck's location is, they're going to be coming up on Susie and Dawn here in probably about another 2 or 3 minutes as well. We've got hashtag Mighty Mujer 2018 that we're using today because we've got a number of people out here. These women come with their families, they come with their husbands, they come with their tias.
A big support system.
Huge support systems because honestly, these athletes couldn't do it without that support. These are professionals, these are moms, these are every range of a job that you can think of a woman doing, and we do them all, as you guys know. Many of these athletes are training at 4:30, 5 a.m., 5:30. It is a long and early day for them.
They're getting their kids ready to school. They go to work.
Right.
They come back.
And it doesn't come without sacrifice. Somebody is helping with that, and their kids certainly are aware of what's going on. And so, you know, we are encouraging our people out here to take photographs, to take video, and use that hashtag of Mighty Mujer 2018. We have the first cyclist now approaching Don and Susie. You can see El Paso PD is a lead car there, just going ahead and making sure that everybody knows that this is coming. I believe we have more than 50 El Paso police officers out here making sure that the roads are safe. This is a closed course, which means there's not supposed to be another car, but as you can see right there, there's a bus. And that is what we are trying to prevent. And so many of these roads are closed. These vehicles need to get off the road. I'm sure El Paso PD is going to go ahead and handle that here in just a moment. But again, you don't want to have cyclists out on the road with cars. At the end of the day, a car will win. And so the cyclists are told, yes, this is a closed course, and yes, this is, you know, what we have planned for, but ultimately you have got to make safe choices out there.
Yeah, your safety is more important than beating a time.
Right.
And but yeah, we can see there those streets are supposed to be closed off. Somehow a bus got through, but these cyclists are making their way through, and Dawn and Susie are, I believe, in this area where this cyclist is going by right now. Dawn?
Yeah, guys, so we just saw the first cyclist there making this turnaround on Pearson, Alabama. You could see she was kind of pumping because this is one of the first hilly parts on the course, but as you can see, she is making her way downhill. Beautiful scenic site here in Northeast El Paso. We're just down the street from William Beaumont. Here's the thing, it's the highest point of the race, 4,200 feet. I want to introduce Susie Castillo. She's one of our newest team members here, El Paso native, came to us from San Angelo, Texas, and she's going to be joining us on the air next week. Susie, welcome. What's it like being out here, back home?
Well, it's amazing to be back home. I've been wanting to come back for a while, 5 years out of town, and finally great to be back in my hometown reporting my dream job. And Mighty Mujer, it's such an inspiration to see these women out here, and the first bicyclist that just came by, 4,200 feet of elevation, and she did not seem tired like I thought I'd see her.
She was doing it. She got up that hill.
Yeah, amazing. And like you were saying, it's beautiful views out here, the mountains, and as she's headed south, that beautiful view of the city, and you can kind of see Juarez.
All the way into Juarez. All right, we're going to send it back to you as the more bicyclists come up the hill.
All right, Don, Susie, thank you so much. You can see those cops taking all those cars, telling them to get off the road.
Yeah, get off the roads.
All right, guys, well, we'll be right back with more on Mighty Mujer. All right, thank you for joining us. We are at Mighty Mujer, the triathlon. We've been talking about this for weeks. One of my favorite things about this is leading up to this race, we met a lot of the athletes. They had so many personal stories. For one woman, it helped her get out of a dark time. For another, she was so scared of swimming. So just great stories out of this. But I think my favorite one is a girl who got her whole family, her aunts, her cousins, everyone, her mom.
And that's what it's all about, just
different
inspiring.
Ages. Yeah. So take a look at this. Take a look at her story.
I don't know how I brought up the idea of doing Mighty Mujer.
Cristina Fernandez was at a family reunion.
Of course, the first reaction was, ha ha ha, like I would never fit into a tri-suit.
When she approached her family about participating in a triathlon.
We were all laughing, yeah, sure.
Included in the conversation, her aunt, Carmen Zamaron.
It's really easy, you can do it. Okay, let's join.
Fernandez convincing her aunt.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow at the swimming pool. And what? We have to train?
Mother, sister, several other aunts and cousins to join Mighty Mujer.
This is her first race even, so this is something important.
I had never run in my life.
I don't like running at all.
Fernandez's sister, Sabrina, working hard but also inspired by her family.
If I'm 21 and she's 60 and she's doing it, then why not, since I'm younger and I have more energy.
That positive attitude keeping this family going.
When you think, oh, I really did bad today, and they'll, no, you did great. Just going out there is really good.
You learn from each other, which is pretty cool.
As they anticipate crossing their first finish line.
You're never too old to learn new things, to set new goals for yourself and to achieve them.
You just have to find kind of the way to get there, and anything is possible.
I think that is just the perfect message.
Yeah.
You're never too old, and like the younger girl said, if she's 60 and I'm 21, why can't I do it?
Absolutely. And that's, we've talked a lot about this for some particular reason. We see a number of athletes who come back again and again and do this. And I certainly think that this was true in my case. Not necessarily because I think I'm some great athlete, because you guys know me. That's not necessarily
we know
the case.
She's an athlete.
But
she comes into work every morning and says, "Oh, I just ran 3 miles today."
Well, some days more than others. But really, where I'm going with this is the feel of this race, because there are so many new people who do this, and then you've got others who are bordering on elite, who will tell you, "Hey, I saw you doing this and I thought that was really smart," or "Have you ever tried this piece of equipment," or what have you. This is a different feel kind of race. There's a lot of girl power involved in all of this. And I think that that's what you're seeing here in pieces like with regards to Cristina and what happened with her family. Certainly in our case, as a mom, my children said, "Hey, can I go for a run with you? Can I ride your bike? Can I, those kind of things." These are conversations that were not taking place in our household until I became a Mighty Mujer. And certainly I think that's indicative of a lot of what you see with regards to the other women. You'll notice in this live shot, as well, as the women are coming out of the water, those initial swimmers that were coming through, as you were noting, Allie, we're just flying through the water. Now you're looking at people who are probably in that 6-7 minute long length for the 300 yards. And you'll see that on that back wall toward the middle of the shot, that's where a lot of the spectators are. And along the right-hand side of that shot were the people who were lining up for the next race, which is the super sprint. That is the shorter distance race, right? But again, we continue to see cyclists that are out here who are getting out. We can see somebody there apparently having some kind of a problem, Ellie.
Yeah, so we can see, I don't know if it looks like a tire problem, but again, that's one of those rules where if you do have a tire problem, you can't get help.
No one can
No
help
one
you.
can pull over, and if you have family here, they cannot come onto the track and help you. You have to do it yourself.
It appears like she's having some kind of a gear problem is what this is looking like, and hopefully she doesn't have a chain that is broken, because if that has happened,
you can't fix it.
She's probably pretty done, right? So a lot of these cyclists are riding with a bike kit with them, in which they will have an extra tube in case they have a flat. They're able to pump it up because they have CO2 cartridges and a little thing that they use in order to get that air expedited into their tire right away. So yeah, like you were saying, if she accepts help from somebody, if somebody goes, oh, well, do you need me to change that tire for you? I can do that. She's done.
Can they get help from another athlete? Can an athlete pull over and help her? Or is it
she's got to do this?
She's by
now
herself?
They could stand there. They could tell her what to do.
But they can't physically help her.
No, she needs to execute on her own.
Let's say she's a mile away. She's
She can
able to
walk it.
pick up her bike, right, and walk it.
Right. Okay, so we can see that there's somebody there who is talking with her. Now,
Yeah.
if Mike Baker happens to see that, that would be a penalty. This really needs to be something, and you can see that he's not in an orange volunteer shirt, so he's not a volunteer with Race El Paso. So in this case, if she were to get caught by a referee, this would be a major problem for her.
And this is very unfortunate because this looks like it's right after transition
Yeah, right
one,
outside
so
of
it looks like
transition.
she just tried to mount the bike here.
Yep, and she's, but she's still going. Look, she's still trying, and she knows she's getting past. She knows that that clock is ticking, and yet,
Okay.
look, it looks like she's getting
Figured
it.
it
Maybe
out.
she's figuring it out. You can see the cyclist behind her is kind of, where's she going? What's happening?
Yeah.
Can she pull this off? If we can go a little bit to the left, I thought, yeah, it looks like she's got some kind of a gearing problem. Because you saw her leg kind of, have that stutter right there. She's probably in the process of trying to fix a gear and see if she can go through all of those. It sounds like we're starting to get the first cyclist now.
On Heartbreaker Hill.
Approaching Heartbreaker Hill. So let's toss it out to Andy Morgan and Monica Cortez. How is it looking out there? Are they struggling? Are they nailing this, Andy? What's it looking like?
We've had the first two cyclists actually just pass, and we got another one making their way up the hill, and these ladies have absolutely conquered this hill. It's called Heartbreaker Hill for a reason, I'm sure, but the first two ladies through it have absolutely done a fantastic job.
Oh, absolutely. And this is a hill where it's going to test you, really push you. Either you're going to do a great job or you may end up quitting the race. That's how hard it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's really a turning point. Whether you're optimistic, you get past this part, you're going to finish. If you don't get past this part, that's where you can really end up in some big time trouble. And this race not only tests you physically, but we've been talking about it, really a mentally tough race as well.
It really is. And you're an athlete, Andy, so how much mental power do you need in order to keep yourself going after you're exhausted?
Yeah, I would say was an athlete is a better phrase there. But I think the biggest part of it is it really is a mental game. I mean, obviously, you're going to have your legs shaking, especially doing one of these, cycling parts of the race. Their legs are shaking, but it's more of that mental block, whether or not you can get over that hump. And as you can see, kind of right behind us, you got
already
someone.
Fourth one, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming
Fourth
on
one
through
over the hill, and that's really the most difficult part about this race is just kind of getting over that mental block. But once you get past this hill, smooth cruising from there.
Oh, absolutely. Physically and mentally strong ladies here, for sure.
No doubt about that. Let's send things back to you.
All right, Andy and Monica. And the crazy thing is, once for the sprint, you go around once, you got to do it all over again.
Yeah, so a lot of us, when we've been planning for this, we're like, why would you do it again? 18 miles, go up that hill again.
Well, really what it comes down to is when this race first started, the Mighty Mujer started 7 years ago, it was only in existence as a super sprint. When you're looking at what is offered under USA Triathlon race distances, you have your sprint, you have your Olympic distance, you have your half Ironman, and then you have your full Ironman. Because this was an initial race in El Paso, specifically geared as an all-female race, and triathlon was not necessarily a very large sport here, Race El Paso decided to put together the super sprint, which is that smaller distance. So what you would normally find is to go ahead and have that sprint distance, which would require the longer bike ride. Again, it's really easy for people who've done triathlon to say, oh, 18 miles, that's not so bad. If you're a normal road cyclist, 18 miles, that's a snap.
Yeah. For someone like me, 18 miles
is like forever.
But this is a challenging course, and it is designed to be a challenging course. We continue to see a number of women who are in the pool. We now have our first cyclist going over Heartbreak Hill, so those sprint distances are just almost like about a quarter of the way through those two loops. We're going to check in back again on the race course right after this break.
Hi guys, welcome back. We're here at the Mighty Mujer Triathlon. It's now in its 7th year. So we have a lot of participants from all over the country. It's not just here in El Paso or the borderland, it's all over.
It really is. So this particular race started, as you mentioned, Natasha, 7 years ago with about 300 women. First-time athletes, the majority of them being first-time athletes. This race today, as of now, is closing in on about 500 athletes. And as you mentioned, they're coming from all over. So today we've got participants coming from Chihuahua. We've got people from as far away as Fairfax, Virginia, Nashville, St. Louis. We've got a lot of people coming in from Colorado, where triathlon is a very big sport there. We've got folks representing Aurora, Littleton, and Gunnison, Colorado. We've got folks from Arizona and, of course, all over Texas.
Yeah, so this really helps put El Paso kind of on the map as far as triathlon goes. It gets a lot of attention. If we have people coming in from all across the country, different cities here in Texas and New Mexico, Arizona, you see them right there on your screen. Again, I just want to mention real quick, this is a live look of the pool right now. We've already started the second part of this race, the super sprint, the shorter version.
So now that first set of athletes is finished, they hold off. And now these are your super sprinters. So these guys will be doing that same 300 yards in the pool, but their bike distance will be half. So they'll be doing 9 miles on the same course as the athletes before them. And then they will be doing a 2-mile run to cap the whole thing off rather than a 3-mile run.
Yeah, and so we can see them here. This is just the first round of the super sprint swimmers. They just jumped into the pool about 30 seconds ago, so we have several women in there already.
And these women, prior to the race, they submitted their times. So that way we know who's quicker, who's a little bit slower, and that way we can avoid, you know, people colliding into each other. Yeah.
So in this case, again, your fastest swimmers are still going to be clocking about a 4-minute swim time. They self-report what their times are. It's not a good idea to say, well, you know, I think I'm going to swim about 5 minutes, and then really you're a 6.5 swimmer, because what's going to happen is you are going to get crunched in the pool by the swimmer who's right behind you. So again, these are going to be the first ones that we're seeing getting into the pool are going to be the fastest of the super sprint.
You know, doing those stories on those athletes, a lot of the women say the swimming part is the most difficult. One woman said she started hyperventilating the first time she did Mighty Mujer.
Certainly.
So that's really an accomplishment for women that are afraid. Their fear is
a lot
water.
of people have a fear of water.
And they take swimming lessons, like you said, Liz, earlier. They train when their kids are asleep, 5 in the morning, to get through that. So.
Yeah, and you'll see that there's varying ways of doing this. You know, most of them are doing face in the water and a regular swim. But you will occasionally, in fact, we saw it a few moments ago, somebody who was on her back and doing a backstroke. Sometimes you will have people who kind of do the doggy paddle.
Yeah,
really
whatever gets you through.
Exactly, whatever gets you through it. Remember that this is 300 yards. At the very most, even if you're very slow, you're going to spend, at the most, maybe 10 minutes. In the course of a race, 10 minutes is not going to be that big of a deal. So if you can just get through your 10 minutes, get yourself out to transition 1 or T1 as they call it, get yourself there and get on the bike course, it's done. You know, now in other triathlons, you can do an open water swim, in which case you're doing it out in a lake. There are no lane lines as you see here. There's nothing to hold on to if you get fatigued. So it's a little bit more challenging. And certainly, you know, you can even do some of these races out in the bays of certain oceans. You know, if you're at certain bays is what I'm trying to say. And so then you're having to deal with a different kind of water type where it's salt water rather than chlorine water. You're having to deal with weather conditions. So, you know, it really depends on what kind of challenge you want as an athlete when you're picking your race.
I feel like the bike, though, is where you have to show your most endurance, right? There at the bike. It's the longest distance.
Look at what's happening here on Heartbreak Hill. She is up off of the saddle. She is pumping very strong. You saw her put her head down. That was probably a, oh, thank God it's done moment. You know?
Yeah, and you can see the people on the sidelines cheering them on. And these women, the cheering, I'm sure, helps get them over that little push. You know, they're probably exhausted by this point, at least I would be. But hearing the people cheer for you, it's very encouraging. It's very like, they're here cheering me on. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get through this. And so these women not only are dealing with the endurance part of this, but also mentally. I'm sure there are nerves involved, which
certainly
gets your heartbeat up. It's just a lot of elements going on here.
It certainly is. And even for the well-trained athlete, somebody who has done this a number of times, you do hear those people with their cowbells and their, cheering. I love hearing the women out there, vámonos mujeres, corre. You hear all of that. At the same time, you are breathless, you are tired. It does cross my mind, as I'm sure it does a number of these athletes, of, oh, please don't let me fall off my bike in front of this crowd. Please don't let them see how exhausted I am. And I do think that you go ahead and you do want to go ahead and have the moment of, I just got to get through it. And you talk about mental toughness. Hearing those cheers, I think, is very helpful. And the fact that you've done it before, and it really just becomes all right, girl, you've got this. Just keep. It's like Nemo. It's not unlike Dory. You feel like just keep pedaling. It feels a lot like that.
And a lot of the athletes that we spoke to say that the other women in the race help them get through the race, even though they're kind of competing for the time. But it's a really, I guess, just all the women, girl power kind of thing.
It does feel that way. And I think one of the things that you hear a lot, we talked about the body markings that these women have, and on the back of their calves will be their age. I think, and I don't think I'm stepping out of bounds here to say, sometimes you look at somebody and you think, oh, I could beat her, based on what they look like, and that's wrong. And I think that's one of the things that happens in this race is you will see somebody who you think you may be a little bit more competitive with, or perhaps they're older or younger, and you're trying to size them up based on that. All of those things go out the window when it comes to triathlon. Now, that being said, I will tell you that there have been times where I have been passed by somebody much older than me, somebody that, historically you might have thought,
they can't run.
They can't run. They can't ride a bike. And then they smoked me. And I have to tell you, my inclination was to say, you go. Girl. It's that kind of, like you said, girl power kind of moment. Yeah, you absolutely want to rock that moment because, if women aren't going to support each other, then what do we have to depend on here? So I think you see a lot of that out on the race course.
Which is also really inspiring. Now, you've seen throughout the course, there are these little mats that you see when they're coming out of the pool, when they're getting on their bike. And just to kind of explain what that is, that's helping them keep track of their time. Every time they go over one of those, the chip that they have on their ankle kind of clocks the time for them.
Sure.
This live look right here, we can see just pushing through the pain.
Sure.
No other way to say it.
Yeah, you can hear it too. That means everything. And that's one of the other beautiful things about the Mighty Mujer is that it's going through beautiful central El Paso. Now, I have a little bit of a soft spot for it because this is my
live in this
neighborhood.
part of town.
I do. But all along the route here on Federal Street, you can see up on the left-hand side, neighbors are out there. Up along Elm Street, they'll be having mimosas and pan dulce that they got over at Gussie's, and they make a party of it in their front yard. And it's just a really nice feeling. You were talking about the mats and the timing chips. Yeah, again, the time in the water will be added to the time in transition, which will be added to the time of the bike. We have already now started to see that there are people who are there on Heartbreak Hill. They're going to fly down Heartbreak Hill, go a little bit farther on. Look at this. Just look at the muscles. As you look, you can see as the muscles are contracting in her calves. They're going to be flying down this hill. They'll be turning around at Ochoa, coming back down toward the park along Rio Grande. And we should be seeing them here momentarily. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and toss it out to break. We are live here in Central El Paso for our first broadcast of the Mighty Mujer Triathlon. Yeah, they're pretty spaghetti-legged at that point. They are probably dealing with some lactic acid in their legs because they've been on the bike and they're using a certain set of muscles to cycle. Now they're coming back into what we call transition 2. They're going to rack their bike. They're going to take off their bike helmet. They may be changing out their shoes if they were wearing specific cycling shoes. Now they're going to put on their running gear, grab their sunglasses, and they're out. Again, they're aiming for about 60 seconds in and out of T2. When that happens, their legs are pretty much telling them, what in the world are you doing
to me?
And so it takes them, a little bit of time to be able to get their legs back underneath them. You'll see them. They're going to be shooting out right underneath us.
Go, Mommy,
go.
Mommy,
Look at
That
go,
is so
Mommy.
sweet.
That's super sweet. So yeah, the sprinters, the sprinters are going to be doing 3 miles. It's going to be a loop that goes around Memorial Park and through the neighborhood.
Here we go. You can do it.
Yep, and she is pumping.
And the cheerleaders are out there.
Yeah,
They're good.
super helpful. The super sprinters, of course, will be doing a 2-mile loop. So, they've got this race is far from over.
Yes. And it's just all very exciting. The atmosphere here is, you can't even explain it. The atmosphere is just one of excitement, one of support, one of, you can feel the nerves a little bit when the athletes were out here before they first jumped into the pool. But overall, the whole message of this is women can do everything.
They're strong.
Yeah.
The
Strong,
strength in women.
mighty.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important, on behalf of the Mighty Mujer to talk about this not being about healthy living. This is about active living. And you'll see that in the expo that's going to happen today after the race, is the runners are going to go through the chute under the finish line banner. And then there is an expo there, and that's where we have a lot of vendors and families will be gathering there, photographs, cheering. You're going to see some tears of people who have completed this. It's going to be a great moment.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and continue those moments, not so much on the air, but we'll be doing that online. But in the meantime, before we go out to break and we join everybody on Facebook, let's go out one more time to Don Guevara, who is out at Pierce in Alabama, which is one of the turnaround points along the route.
Yeah, Liz, 8 years ago I did my first and only triathlon, and I learned in that event the reason you need the correct bike. And this is what we're seeing out here. We are seeing some of these bicyclists having to adjust their gears because what's happening is they're coming up the hill, they're at the highest point, 4,200 feet, they're in a lower gear, and then as they're making the turn, they're going to have to change gears, give themselves more resistance as they start flying down the hill. So you can't just do this race in a beach cruiser. It really takes the right kind of bike with the right kind of gears to do this race successfully. So we have been seeing a couple of athletes already having to get off their bike, fix their gears, get back on, and make it back down the hill. Gorgeous day out here, nice view, but they're coming up this hill, making the turn, and then swooshing back down towards the rest of the course.
And these women are extremely inspirational, and all the volunteers out here have just been cheering on all these ladies as they come up to this, like we were saying earlier, the highest elevation in this bike run all these bicyclists make it look easy.
Yeah, and look at that. You can see the difference here. Some of the women, when they're coming up, they're pumping, and it looks like they're pumping really easy. They're in a different gear with less resistance, and as they make the turn here, they're going to switch gears, give themselves more resistance, so that as they're flying down the hill, they're going to be able to push and feel that street better as they're coming down towards the course.
Yeah, Don talks a little bit about the gearing there. Also the tires, as you're watching some of the cyclists go by. If you're on a heavier bike, let's say you're a newbie, weren't ready to say, okay, I'm all in, and so you haven't purchased a new bike yet, the thicker those tires are, the more you have rubber on the road, truly. And so those bikes tend to be a little bit heavier. So now you're pushing not only your body weight, but the weight of that bicycle. And so some of the more elite bikes you're going to see are going to have real razor thin kind of tires. Now, that being said, remember, these women where Susie and Dawn are make that turnaround at Pierce, and this is where they begin flying down Alabama. If they hit a little pothole, they hit a crack in the road, they hit a rock, that, depending on how well they are at handling their bike, what their speed is, the angle at which they're hitting that could be a road hazard. The good news is here, the Mighty Mujer has never had a serious accident. We have 2 ambulances that are a part of this, And again, kudos to the El Paso Police Department. We've got 50 police officers out here ready to respond in case something happens. But again, nothing has. This is a safe ride. You can see them. Some of them are cruising downhill.
There we go, right here. They're just flying.
Look at how fast they go.
And I'm sure this when they're flying by, when they're going downhill, it's somewhat of a relief. Helps them relax their muscles just for a second before they have to pick it up right
Certainly.
again.
But your real serious riders, they are. Oh no, somebody fell. Right, coming right out of the chute. Oh, I hope she's okay. So she's going to have to get herself together. She is going to, check her bike real quick. Again, she is on the bike route because that red mat that you see there, she is now in her bike time. And so
the clock is already ticking. But yeah, it looks like she was able to pick herself back up. So I think she was okay.
Good for her.
Probably just a little.
You see kind of these rolling hills as you're heading out toward Northeast El Paso. It's as if you were driving toward McKelligan Canyon. So those are some rolling hills. Those cyclists that are starting to get fatigued, they are not necessarily pumping. Not necessarily pumping their legs as they come downhill, but those that are serious riders, they want to pick up some time, they are going to be going just as fast as they can down this hill.
You said 35 miles per hour, and a car goes 30. The speed limit is 30,
right.
so they're going faster than a car there.
And a car would be going down that
That's
road.
right. So the speed limit on Alabama is 30 miles an hour. Coming down, these great cyclists are going to be clocking about 32, 35. So we are going to get ready to go to our regular programming here on KTSM. However, we're going to continue the broadcast of this inaugural Mighty Mujer broadcast. We're going to switch it over to Facebook Live, so we invite all of you to come and join because you've not yet seen the runners. We have not yet had our first finisher. Still lots to broadcast, and we invite you to join us there. So make the switch on over, KTSM on Facebook. We'll see you in just a moment. President? Emily, what did you say?
Welcome back, everyone, to our first inaugural broadcast of the Mighty Mujer Triathlon, which is in its 7th year. If you've been watching us on the television before we switched over to Facebook Live, you've seen that we've already had the super sprint in the water, and that's what's happening right now. We have cyclists out on the road already, so the race is fully on right now. We talk about this as a race against time, and since we've been preparing for this, the race director, Gabby, has told us that the longest or the fastest time that they've had, at least for the long race, is 2 hours and 46 minutes. So that's just incredible. Under 3 hours to do the 18-mile bike ride, to do the run, and to do the swim. Under 3 hours.
Oh, absolutely. And on the super sprint side, your fast ones are going to be coming in about 56 minutes. So they are going to do the 300-yard swim, they're going to do a 9-mile bike ride, and they're going to fly through a 2-mile run in under an hour. So those are very strong women indeed. More along the lines of, if you want to say your average athlete, if you will, it's probably coming in at about somewhere between an hour and 15 and an hour and a half on your super sprint. So these are incredible people. And remember, the majority of this, well, I shouldn't say the majority, 42% of this field, this is the first time they're doing something like this. So kudos to them.
Yeah, and the age range it's so diverse. You have under 18, 2%. 30 to 39, 34%, 40 to 49, 29%. And we even have a little bit of over 65.
Over 65 years old, just under 1%. But our biggest age range that we have participating today is ages 30 to 39. And they said at the beginning when they were doing their rules and regulations, 500 athletes in today's race.
That's right.
That's a lot of women out there putting the metal to the pedal.
Absolutely. And what we're about to see here soon, so remember, we've already seen our sprinters who are the longer distance, so they're just about getting ready to start their second loop. Our super sprinters have now come out of the water and are now out on the road. And soon we're going to start to see them coming back in where they are racking those bikes. They are getting ready to go out on the run. And the sun is starting to come out. So now, in a way where before they might have been a little chilled, and that was a condition that they were needing to deal with, now you're going to start thinking about, your thirst. How much water can you take on a bike ride without upsetting your stomach when you start to run? Do you need electrolytes? Are you starting to go through muscle cramping? The good news here is Chuck has given us, and Monica has given us a fantastic forecast. So we're not looking at 80 or 90 degree weather. We're topping out this afternoon at 78. So right now we're not even close. But this is going to be something that they're considering because their nerves have them pumping so hard right now that they are going to want to start thinking about their nutrition and also what it is that they're drinking. Now, if you're a super sprinter, not as big a concern, but for these women who have been out on the road for a while, it will be.
Yeah, especially 18 miles, that's a long time. You can't be, as you mentioned, don't chug your bottle of water. That's really actually going to affect you.
In the run, especially.
Yeah, you're gonna be jogging along. You're gonna feel that water sloshing around in you. So you just kind of have to take like little sips as you go, as you need it. But very important to stay hydrated. Now that the sun is out, it's starting to warm up a little bit, and so there's just a lot going on for these women. But so far, what we've seen, it's just very impressive.
Let's talk about the route for the runners. Okay, so they come in. They're going to T2. Some of them even forget to take off their helmet, right? Because they're just in a hurry.
They're just ready to go, hop off the bike and ride.
It's just so exciting. So they're going to come in. They're going to dismount from their bike just outside of transition 2. Again, this is going to prevent them from going into the transition area with their bicycle, like riding it so that nobody crashes in there. They're going to run walk their bike to the bike mounts. They will put their bike there. If they need to switch out their shoes, they will. Hopefully, Natasha, they remember to take off their helmet, put on their sunglasses if they're not already wearing them. Some might, spritz themselves real quick with a little bit of sunblock, although the real serious ones will say, I'm not going to be out on the road, and take off. They will take off down the road. They are going to go down. Let me look at my map here just real quick so I can get oriented and say the correct thing to you. They're going to go down Copper Avenue, and they're going to take Copper all the way to Piedras. There, they're going to take a left. They're not on the street. They're going to be running on the sidewalk. And they go, just a couple of the houses distance. They're going to take a quick left on Silver. Then they will be on Bronze, hitting Gold, running back toward Memorial Park, which is on Rainer. They'll take Rainer to Grant, and now they loop around. If anybody has ever been to Memorial Park, you'll know that there's that part of the park that has the turtle that kids like to crawl on and climb. It's been there for a number of years. When you see the turtle at that park, you know you were about to go up a little bit of an incline. Now, you and I, we checked it out earlier today, and you look at it and you think, it doesn't look so bad.
Not a big deal.
Until you've been riding for 18 miles, and now you're getting ready to run. And now that's got just a good enough kick to it that you start questioning your life choices about that point. And so, you get a little bit weary at that. Now, remember, for our runners who are the sprinters, they're going to do this 3 times. The super sprinters are going to do it twice. And the way that they distinguish, if I'm in a longer run, can I cut this short? How do I, fudge this just a little bit? Well, as they go running through, the volunteers are going to give them a little plastic bracelet. Okay. And so they need to have that, and that's going to help them count, because it's really easy to forget, how many loops have I done now? At that point, they're starting to get a little tired. Once they finish up that run, they'll start heading toward the finish line chute. And of course, their name will be called. They're often met with their friends, their family. As I mentioned, so for some people, this is an emotional moment. And then after that, they'll get themselves something to drink, perhaps an orange, perhaps a banana, a little bit of energy, and they'll start going through the Healthy Living Expo.
And they'll be feeling proud all day long. I would be bragging all day for a week.
Oh, absolutely. But I'll guarantee you this. They're probably taking a nap this afternoon, too.
Yes, they're going to sleep very well when they get home. But let's send things over to Chuck and Sandra. What is it looking like where you guys are? A lot of cheering, a lot of bicyclists coming through?
Yeah, there are a lot of these cyclists coming by us for the second time. A lot of people thanking me for the weather. I'll take credit for a beautiful day like today. Sandra was going across the street to talk to one of the fans, just one of the residents, right, Sandra?
That's right. He said he had a very good friend who's participating in today's race. He's trying to keep an eye out for her. He hasn't been able to spot her, but they're speeding past here, so it's really hard to identify who you're looking for because they're going pretty fast, and at this point we have them going in both directions.
And we've seen your cousin now twice going by.
That's right. My cousin Gabby Espada is participating. She's waved. We've cheered her on. She's actually just made her second time around because they have to go around this course twice. For the longer version, so she's making her way back around.
Well, and I heard you guys talking about the great job the El Paso Police Department's doing.
Absolutely.
And we've seen a lot of errant drivers here on the road, and boy, they quickly stop them, guide them off the road.
That's right. We're seeing a lot of trucks, cars. So, I mean, if you know anyone who's driving around this area, just give them the heads up. They are blocked. A lot of people are going around these barriers, but keep in mind that's very dangerous for these cyclists on this route.
And we have a lot of people here. The bishop is across the street at Our Lady of Guadalupe Church.
Yeah, there's an event going on here, so we're seeing a lot of foot traffic here, but those pedestrians are being pretty respectful of the route out here and kind of just waiting there.
And you guys went to us at first, and I noticed, hey, there's a guy riding. There's actually some regular bike riders that have been riding by as well.
Yeah, and we were kind of talking about how this is just such an empowering event for women, and we've been seeing them cheering each other on along the route. We've seen different levels of athleticism. They're coming up over this hill here right before they get to Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, and you can hear it. There's some heavy breathing for some of these competitors. They're tired. Some of them are super energetic. I mean, they're cheering, they're going fast. So we saw somebody ride by with a prosthetic leg. So we have very different levels of athleticism, but everybody very, very determined out
And
here.
I'm surprised how courteous they are too.
Right.
Coming up on your left, coming up on the right, and communicating, which is a really cool thing to see.
They're all happy to see Chuck. They're greeting Chuck. They have enough energy to smile and say, "Hey, Chuck." So I mean, a lot of energy out here, really.
Yeah, I admire it. I'm thoroughly impressed. Now I want to up my game and get in better shape just watching these women speed on by, guys.
There you
go.
See, they are enthusiastic. They are ready to get this race over with, I would imagine.
Exactly. All right. How are things looking down there with you guys? I love hearing all the rules and everything.
I love what Chuck said about inspiring me to get into better shape. If these women don't inspire you to go to the gym today, then I don't know.
Well, Chuck, you're in luck because actually there will be another triathlon. You could be a part of it. Natasha, we have a couple of people. Patrick Hayes, who's not joining us today, but who's one of our reporters. That one will be taking place in September. That's called Eagle in the Sun. Chuck, now I expect to see you there.
Okay, sure.
I've
got to up my game. I've got to up my cycling game a
I'll
bit
help you.
And swim a little bit more too. Okay, Sandra,
Sounds
are you going to join in?
I don't know about that. I don't know if I can prep for this. It might take me. It'll take me a while. It'll take me a while.
In September, we got till September. We can do it.
Oh, look at the enthusiasm
All right.
here. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Sandra was talking about seeing all the different levels of athleticism here, and that is just one of the things that we continue to talk about. More than 40% of these athletes are first-timers, and for a lot of these women, a lot of them may be very competitive and are looking to, I have to win, I have to have my best time. But for a lot of women, it may just be about, I don't care what my time is, I just want to finish it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And one thing Chuck said about the inspirational part of it, there is a woman, Rachel Curtis, that we did a story on, and she said she lives on the route of the bicyclists, where the bicyclists go through, and she looked out the window one day and she was so inspired. She said, I'm going to do this. So she trained for a year. She had a baby. I just had a baby. So it was very inspiring to me. And she said that she started, just with the stroller, walking around the park, and then it turned to jogging and then running. And so it is a very...
I have to tell you, Natasha,
it's amazing.
I have been passed by a woman in a jogging stroller. That's a very humbling moment when you were doing things. You can see that we are starting to see our cyclists now are coming into transition 2. So they're going to start
getting ready for the run.
They're getting ready to start running. So you can see we've got cyclists. These are going to be our super sprinters who are still coming out. We now have our first cyclist in. So she is now going to be, look at the enthusiasm happening out here.
Look at that. They're so happy.
We are going to now start to see this first cyclist coming out into the run probably within the next minute or so. So you can see how quickly she dismounted. She's wearing an Aero helmet. So this is somebody who's a little bit more serious about the sport.
Her legs aren't wobbly, though. It looks like she has a good...
They probably are, but she's hiding it well.
Through it. And the thing is, I mean, they have to go back, put their bike. If they have to change, take their helmet off. So much going on.
Yeah,
they do. Look, I love the enthusiasm of this one as she's getting ready to get into the water. And
is she the last swimmer?
No, I don't think they've gone through the last swimmer yet, because you can see on the right-hand side there's still people that are lined up. But
we have the...
Just very, very enthusiastic. In just a second, you guys are going to start to see that first runner who is coming out to our left. So Natasha and Ali, if you look from our set behind us, you're going to see that she just took off through that chute. She's now passing along Memorial Park. So that's probably a sprinter. She's got 3 miles ahead of her, and she will be done.
What are those last moments like when you see the finish line right there? What do you do? Like, what, you just go for it?
You know, I've had a couple of different experiences. The first time it was more of a, oh, thank goodness this is almost over, feet don't fail me now kind of moment. But then there have also been times, particularly one of the races that I did where a girl that I was training with just happened to be near me. And so unlike a bike where you have to pass somebody within a certain amount, you don't have to do that on the run. And so she and I were running through the course together. And as we hit that last turn and we could see the finish line, this was really actually kind of a personal joke between the two of us, but we would often finish our workouts with a sprint. And so when we hit that last turn, I said, let's sprint. And she says, oh God, no. But we both just started going as fast as we possibly could. And so you do have those moments where your energy, your adrenaline is just going.
Yeah.
But it is such a good feeling to cross that finish line and stop. So we're about to see a lot of those moments.
Your clock stops when you cross the finish line, and I'm sure that is just a moment of joy, a moment, an emotional moment, a whirlwind of emotions, I guess.
Absolutely. And it's great to get that hug from, you know, your kids or from your spouse or from your mom, whoever it is that has come out here to cheer you on, to have them recognize your accomplishment, because as you all mentioned, you know, for some people this was not 2 months of training and okay, I'm ready to go. This has been long in coming. And so finally for them, they are getting that finish that they've been thinking about.
Yeah, and so since we just already saw the first runner, if she's part of the sprinting part of the race, she went through that bike ride really fast.
She did. So, but remember, the first finisher is not necessarily your winner. So yeah, she's gone through it quickly, but now she has to see if any of the women behind her have had a faster swim time. Did they make up time on the course, along the bike route? Where is she going to place in all of this? So we'll be able to determine that here probably within the next 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, and that was very fast. I was surprised. I was thinking maybe it was part of the super sprint, but if she's one of the sprinters, that is very impressive. I feel like it would take forever to go through the bike ride 2 times, 18 miles.
It's rather intimidating. I have to tell you, I've never actually done it. I have a number of my friends who said, yeah, let's do it. We ride 18 miles all the time. And I said, I do not want to do this route twice. So I completely kudos to all of them.
And you know what? In this race, earbuds are not allowed. Music is not allowed.
No.
It's all on you. So you can't like go on a pace or anything like that.
Yeah, you can't listen to your favorite playlist to help you.
Yeah, it's all.
It would be so much easier, right? If you had something where it was like 180 beats per minute and that was the cadence that you were keeping. Nope, that's got to be in your head.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. What are we looking at here on our Facebook live feed? Some more bicyclists. We see the people cheering. It's just nonstop on the go. We see some of the super sprinters mounting the bikes as they go into transition 1. So they still have a little bit of a ways to go. But since they are doing the super sprint, it is only the one time around the bike trail, so it's 9 miles, but it's just going. The atmosphere is great, and I'm very excited to see when that first runner finishes her lap and runs through the finish line.
Well, if they're fast runners, they're probably clocking a mile in under 10 minutes. So you've got runners out here who are able to do a run in a mile in a
8
6 and a
minutes,
half,
7 minutes.
Sometimes you're looking at 7-minute miles. I've never been that person. I'm never going to be that person. I admire all of them. But if they're doing 8-minute miles and they've only got 3 to do, they're going to be done in 24 minutes. So we're going to see this get finished pretty quick.
Yeah, so we'll be seeing again our first finisher, and it's very important to remind people, first finisher, not a winner. Yes, because again, this is a race against the time, not a race to see who can finish first.
Right.
And so she should be coming around very soon. We saw her just a couple minutes ago, so now it's just a matter of waiting to see her come down, and I can't wait to see the look on her face as she's coming down, seeing that finish line.
It's going to be amazing. So what we're looking at now is we've got athletes in all 3 disciplines. We still have people in the water, we have people out on the bike course, and now we have our first runners. So that's one of the interesting things, especially when you're spectating. It could be, some people might think, well, this is going to be kind of boring. Like, I'm not even going to be able to see my athlete, but you're going to see a lot of things. There's a lot of activity happening all at once. One of the big things about this race, again, is Mighty Mujer is used as a fundraiser for the Centers Against Family and Sexual Violence. And so we've had a number of people, Natasha, I believe you talked with Stephanie Carr, who's the executive director, about where that money goes and why this is such an important fundraiser. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, she mentioned, that this race really stands for what the center stands for, and it's to be mighty. And she said that a lot of the survivors have parallels to the participants in the race. Just like the participants, survivors have to be strong, they have to keep focus and focus on the finish line. So we actually have a story here with Stephanie Carr. Take a look.
You have to be mighty to take the journey of healing after having been through a trauma.
Stephanie Carr knows what it means to be mighty.
We provide support and encouragement and resources and help, but at the end of the day, that individual is also making that journey.
Carr is the CEO of the Center Against Sexual and Family Violence. The organization benefits from Mighty Mujer.
One of the reasons why this event is so special to us is that we see great parallels between the participants in the race and the journeys that our survivors take.
Carr says, like the race, domestic violence survivors are strong, keeping their heads above water, pushing themselves to the limit, looking toward the finish line, where they look back and realize just how mighty they truly are.
It's a great name for this race and reflects the mission of the center, which is with hope, become mighty.
Some of those survivors, Carr says, participating in Mighty Mujer, a further affirmation of their strength.
And even though it's a competitive race, the real sense of that day is this spirit of we're all in this together.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about this race is those survivors are here today. They're within this race with all the participants, and a lot of the money goes to their shelter, which houses families. So it's very different than shelters that just are for men or for women. These families get to stay together, we have a list here. $15 provides personal care items for people at the shelter. $25 gives a child a backpack with school supplies. $50 provides an individual with 2 hours of therapy, and $100, people that donate $100 goes to shelter and feeds a family of 4. So this is a big help for the community as well.
And this year I believe we had 13 fundraisers who raised or 13 people who were raising money for this, and then we had 3 who raised over $500 for the center. So that's just incredible. So I want to give them a shout out because that's a lot of money. So we have Anna Romero, who was the top fundraiser. We have Daniela Cornejo and Pamela Starkle. I hope I said your name right, but ladies, kudos to you. Thank you for doing that. I'm sure that the center is very appreciative of all the work and the help that they did. And so, as you mentioned, all of this money is distributed for therapy, for schools,
stays right
for
here
families,
in El
and
Paso.
it stays here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just with regards to the registration for the race either. These are, people could still continue to donate even up to today and beyond
Always.
if you want. Yeah,
Yeah.
you really can. So the Mighty Mujer race is really used as a fundraiser for the Centers Against Family and Sexual Violence. And again, we do a number of stories in our line of work about the need for those kind of services, and this being just such a great organization. So kudos to Stephanie Carr for partnering with Race El Paso as well.
And Stephanie mentioned 7 years ago, this started as a calendar, a Mighty Mujer calendar, and it evolved into this, to 500 participants
It
now.
really does. And I think it goes back to kind of the vision and the strength of the women who are in the process of putting all of this together. We're hearing that there's some activity out at Heartbreaker Hill where Monica Cortez and Annie Morgan are standing by. Let's go ahead and check in with them. Nope, we've lost Andy and Monica for just a moment. However, what we can hear here is that the last swimmer, did I hear that right?
Yeah.
So the last swimmer for the super sprint has now come out of the water. The pool will be closing. That means she is getting into transition 1. She will be beginning her 9-mile bike ride here in just a few minutes.
Right, and earlier too, we were watching this feed. We can see more runners now are starting their, they just finished their transition 2, so they're getting ready to start running. And actually from where we're sitting, I can't see them, but you can totally see that there's people already right here by the finish line because they know that the first runner is getting ready to finish. It's been a couple minutes now, and so you can see that everyone's just kind of waiting to cheer her on, get through that finish line.
Don and Susie have now moved from that turnaround point that we saw them earlier on Alabama and Pierce. They have now moved down here to the finish line. In fact, I can see them from where we're sitting right now. They are in anticipation of the first finisher. And it sounds like, I can't tell. I can hear cheering, but I can't tell if it's because she's coming in this direction or if that was the family member of somebody else. I think we're still not quite there yet.
Yeah,
but,
a lot of them heading out there still to go run.
Can Don and Susie hear us yet? Can they kind of give us a little bit of an idea about what's happening out there on the race? Don, what can you tell us?
Hi guys, yeah, I'm sorry I'm having a hard time hearing you because it's really
really loud.
Yeah, a big celebration. This is a part of the race where the women are going to need a lot of inspiration. We're seeing them leave the transition area from the bike to the run, and I can tell you, when I did my first triathlon, something happens when you get off that bike. Your legs don't work, but you have to keep going, and at some point in the course, your legs catch up with the rest of your body, and then they actually start working. So these ladies have a few miles to work out that big kink, but when they get here, it's going to be a big celebration. The big finish line there, we're an hour and 16 minutes and 55 seconds. So once we see that first runner come here, you're going to hear a lot of cheers. This is just going to be a great entry race.
You can also see the runners heading out, and it's at the same place where they're heading out. They'll be coming in to finish in. All the cowbells, family members, volunteers, all cheering everybody on.
Any sense of exhaustion that you have, that kind of goes away when you get all the support here. So that when they start seeing that finish line and start hearing the cheers, it's going to make them feel really good after everything that they've been through on this course.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll help push them forward and give them that extra push that they need to just finish that last run.
Yeah.
Hey Don, you're in a position where you can see a lot of families out there. Can you see any of the good signs, along the route? You're used to that as a runner. Can you see any of that from your position?
It's hard to hear what's happening because it's just so loud. All I hear is music, cheering, crowds, and yeah, it's like a big celebration, like you said. A lot of music, a lot of clapping, cheering, cowbells, and runners all seem just very focused.
And this is the chance when family members and friends really get to see their loved ones along the course, because they've kind of been they've disappeared for a while. They saw them in the pool, they see them at the transition area, but this is when they actually get to see them finish. And so it's going to be a really fun moment as the athletes start coming into this part of the race.
Right, and obviously really exciting for them because this is a moment that they've been waiting for, training for how long do you train for to be in a triathlon?
Months.
I mean, you've
Hopefully
been in a triathlon. I haven't, so you have one on me.
But they'll if they'll find that extra bit of energy, to make it across the finish line with all of this support.
And as like the first finisher comes in, and it's just based on time, not a...
Yeah, so everything's staggered, so they'll have to wait. They've got the results tent right next to us, so there'll be a lot of calculating happening, but we're going to start seeing that first runner hopefully any minute now as they're making their way through this course. We're at 1 hour, 19 minutes, 19 seconds, so we're seeing a lot of the women leaving the transition area. We heard an announcement a short time ago that the last woman was in the pool, so she'll make her way out of the pool, onto the bike, but most of the ladies here have already gotten off their bikes, and they're just, legs don't fail me now.
Yeah, exactly. And like so far what I've been seeing is a lot of people pushing through very well, and I haven't seen too much of that staggering, but like as you said,
their legs seem to be working, which is good. So we're going to keep an eye on what's happening here at the finish line. When that first runner makes it across the finish line, we'll let you guys know. So we'll send it back to you on the desk.
It looks like they're waving here.
Yeah,
it looks like they're starting to get ready to welcome that runner.
I think Don and Susie are going to have that first finisher here in just a few moments. Like, I really think we're probably about 2-3 minutes away. And you will hear that first announcement. And, while we're broadcasting here on Facebook Live also, we mentioned the fact that we had people from all over the country who were participating in today's race. We have a number of people who are watching us from all over the country as well. Race El Paso put out a press release to the National USA Triathlon Group, an endurance group, excuse me, letting everybody know. And you can kind of see that if you follow them on Facebook, as that was being shared out. So, for instance, there's a triathlon called the Bottomless Triathlon that's held in Dexter, New Mexico, right outside of Roswell. That was, boasting, hey, if you have the opportunity, check out KTSM's broadcast, so that it was an opportunity for people all over the country to get a better idea of what was happening with regards to this particular sport. So we've been able to see comments on Facebook, and we thank you all for joining us there today. It's been great to see all of the hearts going by in the comments and the thanks for being out here. So we want to acknowledge that as well. Again, we are highly anticipating that first finisher to be coming.
I'm getting very anxious.
I have a feel. I keep looking backwards behind me and waiting to see if I can get a signal from a volunteer, or if somebody can say, here she's
coming. Yeah.
And those families, they're part of the journey as well.
Absolutely, they are.
A lot of these women may have children, and it's a whole family effort too. So I'm sure watching their family member come through the finish line is,
I know, and
amazing.
I can't wait. I'm just seeing the women even just finishing transition to heading out to the trail. They're exhausted. Dawn was talking about their legs seem to be working still, so that's good news, because I'm sure they are feeling like jelly.
Yeah.
And I'm not a triathlon athlete, so I have never swam, biked, and then ran.
To do all those it really must take a toll on the body.
But I do, go to the gym, and I do workouts with weights and stuff. And so whenever you do work out your muscles with such heavy weights, and then you try and go do some cardio, it doesn't work.
Tough.
It's hard.
And I think that speaks to, again, the hashtag I am mighty.
Yeah.
These are women who nobody decided this week, I think I'll go and do a triathlon at the end of the week. Nobody does that. It's not like, I think I'm going to try a 20-pound weight and go from 10 to 20. It's not that kind of a mindset. This is something they have to have some process with. They have to have some forethought. There's gear involved as well, so you have to have, some vision and some pre-planning with regards to that. But again, because your muscles are changing, again, you're going from a bicycle where, perhaps you're using your hamstrings, you go to running, and now it's your quads.
Yeah.
You feel that shift, and your feet are suddenly so much heavier. And again, this is Central El Paso. It's not exactly flat. This is not like being up in the upper valley. This has got some hills to it. So the good news is that all along the route here on Copia Street, on Copper Street, you're going to have people who are out here cheering. You've got the little kids. There's also water along the route. So if you need to stop and get like the little paper cups, like what you would find perhaps at a dentist office, grab some quick water, a quick Gatorade, and go. Sometimes that's just the boost that you need to kind of go, okay, my mouth isn't so dry, let's go. And you find that pace. You were talking a little bit ago about not having a playlist and being able to just kind of pump your way through this. You do find a cadence.
Okay, we're here announcing the first finisher. 2 minutes away.
2 minutes away. So that means she is just on the other side of the park on Grant. She's probably just approaching that turtle, the ceramic turtle that we talked about that's part of the playground equipment. And she is heading toward that slight hill again. We can call it a slight hill. To her, she's probably thinking that that's a little bit of an exaggeration, and that is a mountain. So she is probably just getting ready to start pumping her arms, pumping her legs. You know, you really, the faster, as you're going up a hill, you start taking baby steps, right? Your feet are not as wide. So you're on your toes, you're taking baby steps, and you are pumping your arms. So that is happening
I'm feeling the
for her
adrenaline right
now.
now. I can't imagine what she's feeling.
She is thinking, my goodness, I am so happy to be done. Okay, let's see if we can see her coming right around that corner.
I see her. Do we have that camera?
Here we come. Do we have that camera?
Here she comes.
First finisher.
Look at her. She is not slowing down. Fantastic. Congratulations to her. So, Roxanne Regman, did I hear that correct? I believe that's who our first finisher is Roxanne Regman.
She looks pretty good.
She looks very strong.
She doesn't look
tired at all.
Now remember, guys, this is not the first woman we saw come out of the pool. This is not the first person that we saw hit the bike route. So again, we're talking about time. And you know, we talked before the race began with referee Mike Baker, and he's talked about the bike route kind of being the determining factor. If you're a strong cyclist, you're going to zip through. If it's not so much the case, you're going to struggle a little bit, and that's what starts to make the field change. So kudos to our first finisher.
Yeah, and she did look amazing. She didn't look tired. She didn't look like she was breaking a sweat. But let's send it over to Don and Susie, who were there as she crossed the finish line. John, Susie, what did her face look like? That's what I want to know. Did you see excitement? Did you see exhaustion? What was it?
She was hauling. Like, there was no sense that she had just done a triathlon. She ran right across that finish line strong.
Right, I feel like we almost missed her because she came by so fast, and it was just, I think, the crowd screaming that we were like, oh, there she goes.
Yeah. Number 5, she was very strong. So first one to finish, and we're just waiting for the rest of the ladies to make it here across the finish line. And we keep seeing the ladies leaving the transition area from the bike to the run, which is a really tough transition here as you're, getting on that last leg of the race. But that first finisher, man, she was strong.
Right, and then those racers that are barely starting their run, they're getting cheered on too by all this crowd too, that they have cowbells, clapping, screaming, family members, volunteers. You see little girls, probably sisters. Yeah, a little bit of everybody out here.
It really helps. So we're going to keep an eye on the finish line and let you know when more runners are starting to finish.
Thanks, Don. As the women are starting to finish up their race now, you really have to start thinking about body breakdown. Are they going to be sore? What do you do when you're done with that race? Out here, there are a number of volunteers, so if you're looking for a free massage, Nastasia,
this is the place
just pretend like I just ran.
Let's just cross the finish line.
You need to pant a little bit, maybe throw some water on so you look sweaty. But yeah, these guys have the opportunity to get through the chute. They have finished. They have now crossed that last mat, so their timing chip is now going to show that they are done with their race. And they have the opportunity to go and get stretched out. So, right behind us, we have the Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center of El Paso sports medicine folks out here. So they will help to stretch folks out. And they really are going to need that. Depending on where you hold your weight on the bike, maybe your arms are sore. It could be your hips. It could be down. We're hearing that there is another finisher that is coming right behind us. And so they're going to want to go ahead and get some nutrition into them. They're going to want to go ahead. Usually what you try to do is you get a little bit of protein, but honestly, that's not always available. So they might have packed that into their transition bag, and so that's still back in the area where their bike is.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
And they're going to want to get themselves some liquid, perhaps some Gatorade, some water, but definitely going to want to stretch out because they have been in motion.
Stretching is very important. A very important part of being active and doing such strenuous activity like this, because if not, they're going to be sore regardless, but if they don't stretch, it's going to be even worse for them. Their muscles are going to stay tight, and they're going to be to the point where they can't even get out of bed.
our Facebook Livers. We have some comments here just congratulating all these runners, all these athletes.
Very exciting.
It
so
is.
we have there. Is she the second finisher that
Yes.
we're seeing? We have a third finisher now.
So they're coming in.
This is really where we're going to start to see some crowding. So again, the cyclists are going to be finishing up there. Oh, I believe do we have a guest here?
Are you the first finisher? Oh,
All right.
yes, join
Come
us.
and sit with us over here. We have the first finisher joining us.
Wegman.
Congratulations. Good run. So this is going to be yours. You passed one of our crews as you were getting ready to go up into the chute. Don and Susie reported the exact phrase, I believe, is she was hauling.
Yeah. Tell us about yourself.
First off, let's go ahead and get your name.
Yeah.
My name is Roxanne Wegman.
Roxanne, are you from El Paso?
Not originally. I'm originally from upstate New York, but kind of all over. I'm in the U.S. Army. So.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us today. So how was the course?
It's kind of tough. I mean, of all the sprints I've done several dozen sprint triathlons, half Ironmans and whatnot, but this is a pretty difficult course because of all the rolling hills and steep descents. They're a little bit technical, so you have to really strategize how you're going to attack the uphills and kind of conserve a little bit of energy so you can fly on the downhill.
And you were doing the sprint distance, is that right? So is this the first time that you've done Mujer?
It is. I wanted to do it last year, but work was kind of busy, so I didn't get a chance to. But I was really looking forward to it this year.
How are you feeling about your time? You talked about how you've done several types of these events. How are you feeling about your time today?
It's a tough course, so the times might have a few more minutes added to them. It was a really fun course, so I was just really happy to be there today.
What was more challenging for you, Alabama or Heartbreak Hill?
I think both of them were equally challenging. They just require a little bit different tactics kind of going into it and coming out of the descent.
You look pretty good right now. You look pretty
you don't
composed.
look tired.
You don't look tired at all.
I'm kind of trying to train for an Ironman Arizona this coming year. So
good for you.
Sprint distance. I don't know. I feel like you can go out and do it again.
How are you feeling right now? Do you feel just amazing right now?
I feel great. This is a really empowering event. It's really awesome. I've never done an all-women's triathlon before, so it's really cool to see like a lot of really empowered and strong women.
Could you feel the
doing their
support
first triathlon.
from all the women around you?
Yeah, a lot of energy. And one of my friends did her first triathlon today. One of my coworkers, and one of my friends, and she was really excited. I was kind of trying to tell her how to set up her transition area, and all these new little nuances of triathlon are really fun once you get into it.
Fantastic. So. And you got the medal. Can we get a shot of what the medal looks like here? It's beautiful. Well earned.
It is beautiful. I want one of those. Now I have to train so I can get one.
We're trying to convince our anchors here that they need to go out and do triathlon as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a really fun sport. It's a lifelong sport for me. It's a lifestyle. So I used to be only a runner and started getting a lot of injuries, and I moved to triathlon, and I can train 6-7 days a week, but doing different things, so it's never boring. It's a lot of fun, and you can meet different people doing different events. So overall, it's just a great lifestyle and just a great pastime.
Do you have a lot of people here supporting you this morning?
Unfortunately, no.
You have us.
And our Facebook family.
Yeah, in the military, you got to find family, kind of grow where you're planted, find friends and family, and these events are great because I've already met about 5 to 10 people and now 3 more that you've built a connection with through sport.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Congratulations on such a strong race.
Thank you very much.
And we look forward to seeing you. You want to do an Ironman, right?
Yes, I'm looking to do Ironman Arizona this year.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the first time for Ironman Arizona?
It is, first Ironman ever. I've done a lot of halves, but never a full, so.
You've got great training ground here in El Paso then.
Absolutely.
Similar conditions.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Looks like we're getting some more people coming through, and it sounds like we're getting some activity out on Heartbreaker Hill where Andy Morgan and Monica Cortez are live. Monica, Andy, how is it looking up there?
Well, an awesome finish from what it sounds like on your end, and this race finishing for those ladies. For these ladies over here, really just starting to get over the hump, as we call it, Heartbreaker Hill, and really this is probably the most inspirational part of the race because as soon as they get over this hill, you see the look on their face, just a huge sigh of relief.
Oh, it really is, and so of course the volunteers are the ones that are really getting these ladies going.
Yeah.
And, it's amazing. It's incredible. And, Andy, I was telling you earlier, just seeing the women kind of making it up the hump, as we've been calling it, it kind of makes me want to be able to participate in one of those.
I was going to call you out, but you put yourself on the spot right there. Monica has said she's been watching this the whole time. She's just like, hey, maybe I can do this.
I was like, if they can do it, maybe I can do it too.
Yeah,
But
so yeah, I think the coolest part though, especially at Heartbreaker Hill, as you mentioned, are some of the volunteers as well as friends and family members that have kind of made their way to this part of the race, and you see them kind of running them up the hill. We've seen some bikers who, cyclists I should say, that haven't quite made it. They ended up having to kind of run up the hill with their bikes. We mentioned it. If you stop pedaling at really any point on this hill,
you will fall.
Chances are you have to run back up the hill.
Yeah, you really do, and it's just so nice to see once the volunteers start cheering, the women light up a little bit, and they get that extra wind, right? That second wind.
Yeah, no doubt
to
about
make
that.
it up.
And we talked a lot about, you ladies were talking about the soreness. I can only imagine. I just see this part of the race, and I'm just like, man, I can already feel their pain in the morning.
Yeah, they're not probably gonna stay away from exercise for a good month, maybe.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's incredible. It's inspirational to say the least.
No doubt about that. Lots of action here on Heartbreaker Hill. The volunteers have been awesome. So we've enjoyed it. We've turned from kind of doing the color commentary to some cheerleaders.
We
out
really
here,
are.
So lots of fun out here. Let's send it back to you.
All right, Andy, Monica, thank you. And the last swimmer just finished. So the last swimmer's out of the pool. Now, I know
that's our last athlete for today.
So Liz, you've done this, and me and Ali are inspired. We're inspired, right? We're going to start training. But here's one story. Again, Rachel Curtis, I love this story because she was just looking out her window when this was happening.
Oh, this is the one that you said that she saw them and she got her baby in the stroller.
She said it was a sign.
Off.
She said it was a sign. So take a look at this.
A lifeline in like a really kind of dark period of my life.
For Rachel Curtis,
it was really what kind of got me out every day.
Training for Mighty Mujer was a turning point in her life. 3 years ago, Curtis was divorced. She had just had a baby when she looked out her window.
Watching all these women go by on bikes, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. I think this is a sign.
She decided it was time.
This is what, the universe is telling me I should do to get back in shape after my baby.
Curtis put the baby in a stroller and slowly but surely
I just kept doing more and more.
Started training for her first triathlon. The women in the race guiding her the whole way.
Everybody's cheering each other on. It's all about girl power. It's all about empowerment. Like it's really fun.
This year, Curtis, now a sponsor, hoping to be the guiding light in a race that once helped her out of the darkness. So this race really means a lot to a lot of people. It's more than just a race.
What I've really liked, and we saw this earlier outside of T2, were the kids that had the Go Mom Go shirt, and the inspiration with regards to this and how these women influence those decisions within their family. And again, I think that's really kind of the heart of the Mighty Mujer race and really what it's encouraged to do. As a result of this race, a few years ago, Race El Paso then launched the Splash and Dash. And that was for kids, I believe it's ages 7 to 14, 15. I may have the ages wrong a little bit. But for younger kids, held down at Escarete Park. And it's a swim and a run. So it's not the bike element, but it's got that. The majority of those kids that first year were the children of Mighty Mujeres.
Yes, you introduced us to one of your friends earlier who had her daughter with her.
That's right.
And she was inspired after seeing her mom do the Mighty Mujer, then she was doing the Splash and Dash. And so it's incredible to see just kind of the impact it has on it. The active lifestyle. You mentioned yourself, your kids are like, Mom, can I go on a run with you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what it's all about. It's just inspiring, motivating, and empowering each other.
That family that we heard from earlier, the girl said that before they were family, but then they became friends because you are like working out, you're pushing each other, and they bonded closer than they ever have before.
Absolutely.
Through this race.
I can certainly say that I can relate to that. A number of people who I consider very close friends with are people who I wouldn't know otherwise if it had not been for the training for a Mighty Mujer. So I think that's a situation that comes up a lot for a lot of women. It's a very similar story for a lot of women. The other thing that you see is, again, some of the women that you see, they may come in here, and we talked on this a little bit, quote unquote, not looking like an athlete. Mm-hmm. But as a result of swimming, biking, running, knowing that you needed to use food as fuel, you start to see these lifestyle changes that become very healthy. And again, we talk a lot in the news about healthy living and the prevalence of diabetes in our community and needing to get moving and just in general health issues. I think as a result of participants being a part of this race, you start to see that in their individual households, and that's going to go a long way toward the health of people in our community.
Yeah, and like you said, you see a lot of these women and you may think they're not athletes, they can't swim, they can't run, but looks don't mean anything.
No, they don't.
Absolutely not. You can be 160 pounds and beat the girl who's 120 pounds on the bike and running. And so it's just all about your training and your endurance and your athletic abilities. It doesn't matter what you look like.
And I have to tell you, it gives the mujeres who do this race a little bit of confidence, a little street cred here. You know, when they hear another athlete who may be training on another side of town or has participated in another race to say,
I can beat her.
I could do that. And you think, well, you might be able to get me on a flat sprint, but I'll smoke you on Alabama. These women train on these streets. And if you live in central El Paso, you're certainly well aware of the fact that there are a lot of athletes around here. And that is a challenging course. You heard that from Roxanne. So
she said it was challenging.
She said it was challenging, but it looked like she hadn't even broken a sweat.
She looked good, didn't she?
Yes.
I know, I was a little jealous.
Yeah, she was like, it was challenging, but I could do it again. She said she could do it again right now. Yeah. No, she didn't look tired at all. So good for her. Congratulations.
Yeah. All right, we have Chuck. We have Chuck here. Let's hear from Chuck, who's out with Sandra.
Hey, yeah, we're up here at Alabama and Nashville, right in front of Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, and we did have one athlete that just walked her bike by. She fell, kind of messed up her foot a little bit, but she's okay, she said, and she was happy to compete. And just, I'm amazed, Sandra, how awesome these women athletes are.
That's right, and we're starting to see some of the higher number of competitors, and they're kind of struggling more as we kind of get closer to the end. They're coming up that hill, they're out of breath, they're tired, they're kind of cycling a little bit slower, but they're pushing through all of this to get through this route, and we see them when they're coming back around, and they're pushing just as hard. So you can really see the grit and determination to get through this. I mean, after she got up after falling, I mean, it's a testament to how much effort they've put into this, and they're really just not willing to give up.
And every time they pass, we're cheering them on.
Right.
Our photographer, Christian, here also cheering them on. And they'll give us a little cheer back.
That's right.
and a smile. And that means a lot, I think, to them.
Right. We were just saying we should have brought signs, you know?
Yeah.
We should have brought signs for them, but we are cheering them on. And you can see, we talked about this a little bit earlier, the different levels of athleticism. We've also seen different age groups. We saw some teenage girls participating in this. So it's just great to see them getting so active and so involved in this event, these kind of athletics so early on. You know, it really is a lifestyle.
Yeah, and we've been telling some of the people here going to church are actually being confirmed here today. The bishop is here, and they're amazed and they're like, how long is this course? And Liz, maybe you could tell me what's the exact length of the cycling course? Can give me about a mileage or so? Because a lot of people asking about how long the course is.
Sure. So if they're doing the sprint, then they're doing 18 miles. If they are doing the super sprint, then they're doing 9, which is why you've seen some repeat cyclists, because they're doing a loop.
Yeah, we've seen them go across a couple times, and we're like, hi again. And your cousin is racing in this.
She is racing, so she is doing the sprint, so the 18 miles. So we saw her go around twice. So, I mean, it's just good to see. And I've seen her kind of posting that she's been training at this for months. So it's great to see her out here. She has been speeding past us. She was kind of in the first group of cyclists that came through. So it's just really exciting. I imagine that's kind of the feeling that a lot of people who are watching from home have. A lot of the people who are there at the finish line who've been following this race. Just a really great sense of pride to see people participating in this and doing so well and competing and completing this race, really.
Yeah, and you know, you said that they can't have their own music or playlist,
right.
But we have the matachinas up here, and they're kind of riding to the beat of the drums of the matachinas. What do you think? That's not against the rules, right?
There's a confirmation taking place there at Our Lady of Guadalupe this morning. That's why Bishop Seitz is there. That's why the Matachinas are there. Our Lady of Guadalupe, of course, one of the big Catholic churches here in central El Paso. So very gracious to let us take up a space in their parking lot today for a live shot so that we could have Chuck and Sandra out there.
Yeah.
Sandra, you're going to have to give your cousin a big sweaty hug when this is all done.
Yeah, she deserves it. So from where we're sitting, just to give you an example, we are right in front of where the finish line. And so I've kind of been keeping an eye on these athletes as they're running through, and I've seen a variety of emotions. I have seen some of the runners pushing through, sprinting through. I have seen some of them kind of just, oh, okay, come on, let's get there. And I've seen some as they run through with their arms up, excited. They're like, yes, while others I've seen are kind of just heads down, exhausted, but very excited to finally have completed it.
And look at all those kids out there watching their moms, watching their family members cross that finish line. I'm sure it makes a difference for them. Maybe future triathletes there.
It certainly does. We were just looking at that graphic right now on Facebook that was showing the route for the bike, and then of course followed by the the run route as well. One of the things that you see in this particular race is the cheering from the community neighborhood. So we are in the heart right now of where we are right now at Memorial Park in Manhattan Heights, historic Manhattan Heights for Central El Paso. So people are going to be up and down on copper and gold and bronze and piedras, and then certainly on Grant. They are sometimes out on their patios or their porch and they're cheering. They may have signs. You know, a lot of times people will park their cars out on the street. The cars have all been cleared so that the athletes have as much space to be able to do whatever it is that they're doing, whether that's cycling or running. A very friendly, very welcoming, very warm reception.
Community.
Right here for the athletes. This is a sense of pride. When this first happened, the neighborhood wasn't really sure what to expect. You know, you kind
closing
of
off my streets. They're all in front of my house, but
really very few complaints, if any. I think everybody really looks forward to this. I know there was a Manhattan Heights Neighborhood Association meeting held maybe about a month ago. This got brought up and people were writing it down on their calendar. Oh, April 21st? Not a problem. I'm telling you, the neighbors on Elm Street will have a little tent out there. They've already gone to the neighborhood bakery called Gussie's, and they've bought their pan dulce, and they have their burritos. And
that's where I'm going after this.
Me too. They've got mimosas out there, and I mean, they just have a great time with it. So, you know, I think that's certainly very helpful. And for first-time triathletes, you know, like the one we were speaking with a moment ago, Roxanne, who's not from El Paso, and really this is her first time doing Mujer. When you see something like that, it does give you more of a boost of energy. So kudos to the neighbors out here in Manhattan Heights as well in Central El Paso for really embracing this.
Yeah, and Roxanne said she's not originally from here. She is military. So she mentioned, I don't have a lot of people out here, at least like family, as far as family goes, but with everybody out here, the community just coming together, that is her family.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It is her family. They're cheering for her. They don't know who she is, but they're cheering for her.
That's right.
We're all cheering for every single woman here.
That's right. Sounds like Dawn has a live interview with a finisher. Dawn, Susie, who's with you?
Hi guys, yeah, so I'm here with Amy, a Mighty Mujer finisher, and the neat thing about this race, a mother-daughter event, you just watched your daughter cross the finish line. How does all this feel?
It's super exciting for me to be.
Can you move it? Oh, it sounds like we lost Don. We're going to come back to him in just a second, but you know, it's a...
Did I hear him say something about a mother-daughter team?
I think that's what he said.
Talk
We're
to us
try
about
and get that live shot back up. And in the meantime, the live look that you're looking at here is going to be of another finisher. She is getting that well-deserved medal right there. Congratulations to them. Looks like we've got Dawn back. Let's toss it back out to Dawn one more time. Dawn, are you able to join us? No, looks like we've lost Dawn one more time.
I was just talking to a mom. Yeah, I was just talking to a mom, her daughter. It's a mother-daughter affair. She just watched her daughter finish her first triathlon here. She's 12 years old, so she just went to go say hi to her. But we're seeing a lot of strong finishes here at the finish line, which is great to see. You know, a lot of energy here at the finish line.
Fantastic, Don. It looks like you're about to get a crowded field there as well, because we can hear the announcer now starting to name off with race number and first and last name everybody who's going through.
If I were one of these finishers, I'd wear my number with pride all day.
Some girls are just going.
Oh yeah,
that like nothing.
They're just coming through. You know, really at this point, just such a great time for them. This is the moment that they have waited for.
I love all the men supporting them here. Look at them.
Yes, and a lot of these guys will say, you know what, my wife did it, my daughter did it, my aunt did it. When is the next race? And then they will sign up for the next Race El Paso Triathlon, which is Eagle in the Sun. That's the one that's happening Labor Day weekend in September. And that one happens over at the SAC in the Socorro ISD.
Okay. Yeah, I like when you can see the women coming down. You can tell who their supporters are because you'll see either the husband with the children running alongside her as she crosses that finish line and just running over to them, giving them that very well-deserved hug that they worked so hard for this.
They really have.
We can't stress that enough.
They really have. So kudos to all of them. I think, you know, it sounds like we're still going to be trying to get that live shot up with Don, so we'll check in here with him in just a little bit. Do we know, I'm wondering, our producer Emily, if maybe you can tell us in our earpiece, are Andy and Monica still seeing a lot of traffic out in the Heartbreak Hill, or is that now starting to kind of calm down a little bit? It sounds like they're standing by with somebody.
A supporter.
Don is standing by? Is that what I heard? Andy and Monica. So they've got a family member up there on Heartbreak Hill. Andy, Monica, let's go ahead and toss it out to you.
Hey, Liz. Well, we're here with Stephanie Soto, and you have got to see her go. She's been cheering on every single cyclist here. So tell us a little bit about who you're here for.
I'm here for a friend of mine, Amy Sinceri, and I just wanted to cheer her on. She's been training for this for quite some time, and so we just really wanted to come out and support her.
So why do you keep cheering on every single one? You push them to their limits.
Well, because I'm a cyclist, and I know how hard these hills are. I live just down on Arizona, and so these hills are a challenge almost every day. So I know how hard it is, and getting to the top of that hill is an amazing achievement. It really is. It doesn't seem like much of a hill, but it is.
What does that inspiration, when you're kind of cheering on someone, as someone who's done this before, what kind of inspiration does that give you to keep going?
Oh, everything. Watching them, this Mighty Mujer race, and to see so many women that participated in it, is very exciting. And I hope that next year, maybe I'll be in better shape and I can even join them.
Hey, Monica will join you. She said
we're going to be team members.
She wants to do it too.
We'll do it. We will. This is incredible. I know that you're waiting for your friend, so I will let you go so you can run back there. But thank you so much. Yeah, of course. So how incredible is she?
I know. She's been running up and down the hill, back and forth, and I'm telling you, I just walk up the hill and I'm out of breath. So these cyclists giving everything they got, but as well as Stephanie out here. She's doing a great job.
Yeah, so we'll send it back to you to the desk, and we'll try to find some more amazing people out here because there's plenty.
Thanks, Andy and Monica. I like what they said about her. She said she's there because she knows what it's like. She's done it before, she says. She's also an athlete. And so they mentioned she's cheering on every single person that comes by. And so that's what's so great. You're not just here to cheer for the person you came to see. You're cheering for everyone. And so they let her go back because she's waiting for someone in particular still. But
they can't let them down.
Yeah, and I'm hearing a lot of finishers from different places, from Juarez, Albuquerque. And Dawn is actually down there with a mother-daughter team.
Yeah, ladies, so this is the mother and daughter team of Ella and Amy. Ella, this is your first triathlon, and Amy, Mom, this is her second Mighty Mujer. Ella, how did it feel to finish this race?
It felt really good.
What was it like training and doing this with Mom?
I didn't train with my mom, but it was really fun to do it with her.
And Mom, what's it like having, you said all members of your family are now triathletes. What's that like?
It's really great to have her part of it because she was the last one who hadn't done a race, and so now we can all go out and do these things, together as a family and train together and spend the weekends together. So it makes me really proud to see her go out and do it.
Ella, which course did you do? The sprint or the super sprint?
I did the super sprint.
And what did you think of the course? How was it for you?
It was fun. I really liked the bike.
And Mom, which course did you do?
I did the same one. So we're on a mother-daughter team, so we do the same distance together and then our times add together. So we both did the super sprint.
And your second Mighty Mujer, what was it like this time around?
This time I felt very prepared. I had a good training group around me, lots of friends. The first time that I did it, I just came out and winged it, just to say that I had done it. So this time there's a lot of preparation and goals, that I wanted to make today. So it was great.
Any tips for your friends who are your age for maybe doing this next year, Ella?
You shouldn't just go and do it. You should at least train a little.
Well, that's wonderful. Mother-daughter, Ella and Amy, congratulations. Mighty Mujeres here. They're keeping it in the family. Now they've got a family full of triathletes. So these are just one of the many stories that we're seeing here at the finish line, and a lot of strong finishes. We're seeing a lot of strong finishes, which we love to see. So we'll send it back to you ladies on the desk.
All right, thanks, Dawn. So a big thing that I like to look at is like the training process, like what they go through to get to this point. So look at this participant. This is Claudia Cortez. Take a look at her journey. Recreational therapy is her trade, but after work, Claudia Cortez is training, focused, and pushing herself to do something she's never done.
I thought, why not? Let's do this.
Cortez participating in this year's Mighty Mujer, an all-female race. Test of strength involving biking, running, and swimming. A fear
I used to be terrified of water.
Cortez has had to overcome.
For 3 months, I've been working on my swimming technique and taking lessons at the Aquatic Center at Fort Bliss. And I can swim now.
A big victory Cortez has already accomplished ahead of race day. It's the women in the race, she says, that gives her inspiration.
Everybody has been really encouraging and everybody helps each other out. So it's been a really good experience.
A little bit of inspiration she hopes to pass on to her patients.
I always try to encourage patients to do things that they enjoy, and letting them know that I'm having fun doing it and I'm learning all these things about myself. I can share those experiences with my patients.
So I feel for this race, there's always one part that gets to the participant that worries them. For Claudia, it was the swimming, but she took lessons, so she was able to develop her technique and pick up on her time.
Yeah.
So it was a really
a lot of women,
story.
it's the first time doing any type of these sports.
Yeah.
Maybe for her, she learned how to swim for this. Liz, you mentioned of your friend who learned how to ride a bike for the first time ever for this triathlon.
But even Roxanne, the winner, or not the winner, I'm sorry, the
Yes,
first finisher, she said that she was always a runner, so she also had to learn how to swim and how to bike.
And what I find is that you do have a lot of runners, people who come from a running background, who then get into the sport because they're able to cross-train. And so the likelihood of them getting injured really comes down because it's not that repetition on the same muscles. You're not constantly pounding on your spine and your knees and your ankles. You know, there's a more well-rounded athlete that comes out as a result of this particular race. So you see that a lot. But yeah, there's always one thing where someone goes, I've never run, I've never swam.
Yeah.
Swimming is the one because, you know, if you fall off your bike, you fall off your bike, right? If you can't run, you just get breathless.
You can't swim, you drown.
Right, and that's the one where people get a little bit more amped up about it. You know, I'm hearing that Susie Castillo is standing by now with somebody as well, so let's go ahead and toss it out to her.
I'm here joined by Diane, who has done 4 of the Mighty Mujer triathlons. How does it feel to do your 4th?
Oh, it feels awesome. You know, it's just part of the community, and it's a little painful if you don't make it. So it's a lot of fun. It's just a lot of energy out here, and just knowing that it's all women is pretty cool.
So what kind of energy as you're going through the course? Where did you see the most energy, and what did you find the most difficult?
Actually, I do like to swim quite a bit. I get it maybe about the last couple of lanes, you know, I start really getting excited, but otherwise going downhill on the bike, that's what the reward is right there. Because you climb so hard and work so hard getting up Alabama, then when you get to go down, you feel so free, you're flying, you're in free fall.
Now, what about those women out there who maybe want to try it, but they're kind of intimidated by it? What do you have to say to them?
Oh my goodness, just talk to, you know, if there's over 500 participants, they're going to find somebody to be able to talk to, and just, you know, get that energy from them, because I tell you, you do it once and you almost get hooked. It's like you get the bug for it. And I would recommend just, if they even think they want to do it, talk to somebody that's been there, because they'll have some good input. on where to get started. But otherwise, there's plenty of groups around here that they can join, and it's pretty inexpensive.
Obviously, you got hooked. You've done, what, 25 triathlons in total?
Probably about that many. Yeah, I keep, every year you just keep going and going. One year I did almost 12 or 13 in 1 year. It's just the energy. You just love it.
Now, how long does it take you to train for something like this?
I would say something like a short distance like this one might take about, say, 3 months. You want to plan on that and get your base down. But as you get longer distances, there's certainly like Olympic distance, half Ironman, Ironmans. They're going to take quite a bit longer.
What's your inspiration behind it?
My inspiration is just, all my life I've enjoyed swimming and, picked up running years ago as far as little 5K races that are a lot of fun. And I just said, all I need is a bike now and I can do this. And believe it or not, I won a bike that Crazy Cat had one time donated.
Congratulations.
Got me started.
Back to you.
Girls, what do you think about your mom competing in this race?
She did good.
She did, of course she did good. She's a mighty mujer, and so are you guys. Rocio, how long have you been training for this? So this is your second one, so you kind of have an idea for it, but how difficult is this trail?
It is difficult. You really have to want it, and I mean, it just takes a lot of willpower just to get out there and do it and train for it every day. But if you're motivated and you have it, you just go out and you do it.
So I'm a mother. Where do you find the time to train with children and family?
I've got great support. I have great support. I am very grateful and thankful to my husband who steps up every single time, and he's there and he's taken over the household for me so that I'm able to come out here and do this.
What times are you training? When are you training? What times?
I'll be in mornings before I go to work, before they go to school. I do it during my lunch break at work and after work. You just have to find the time to do it.
What part was the most challenging for you today?
Oh God, I think it's all the big old challenge. I want to say it was the swim for me. I came out here and I was confident that I was going to do great, and it's just one of those things that happen, and unfortunately, I didn't do as well as I thought I would, but next year will be better.
Yeah, no, and you finish, and that is important. You train hard to finish, and you get through it. Dad, what do you think about your wife?
She did excellent. I mean, she worked really, really hard the whole year, and she's still training, and she inspires me, so she got me going too.
And some future triathletes, some future Mighty Mujeres.
That's the plan, yeah. I want to see them go out there and do what Mom's doing and follow in the footsteps.
Rocio, before we let you go, can you please explain to everyone the feeling that you have crossing that finish line?
Oh my God, it's so amazing. It's empowering, definitely empowering, and I want to do it all over again next year.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Congratulations,
Thank you. You go get some rest, get some water, fuel your body.
So I think this is a really great example, right, of somebody who says, I'm training before my kids wake up. I train, at night. Like, if it's important to you, you will find the time. Yes, and, this is going to be a great influence on her daughters as they grow up, because for them, they're not thinking of mom as, she's just kind of
mom.
there.
She cooks and does laundry.
Right, and I think it's really easy for us, as moms to kind of just wear the mom cape when you get home, when really, you have the ability to do more if you want to. And in this case, Rocio was able to, at some point last year, kind of say, this is something I've never done, but it's definitely something I want to do.
Guys, right now what you're looking at on your Facebook live feed, we just saw, remember the woman who we saw coming out of the pool, putting on her legs? She just crossed the finish line.
The amputee. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic.
Yeah, she just crossed the finish line, and so that's just one of those motivational stories.
Anyone.
Yeah, there's no excuses. If you want it, you can do it.
Absolutely. I really love that sense that, well, I've never really done it. I've kind of been interested, but I don't know where to get started. One of the things that these Mighty Mujeres get exposed to a lot is a lot of pre-race planning. I think that Race El Paso does a very good job of making sure that there are gatherings months in advance of this particular race. So if you want to learn about nutrition,
they have a nutritionist who will come and can talk with you a little bit about that. If you want to do swim technique, they have a number of swim clinics that are held at the city pools, and so you can get together with USA Triathlon athletes as well as coaches to say, you know, I'm swimming, but I feel like I'm not getting anywhere, or my stroke isn't that strong. They will do bike rides, and so Crazy Cat Cyclery, Adam Cyclist, the Bicycle Club, all of those get together and they say, hey, you know what, we're going to go out and do I'm going to throw out a number out there. We're going to do a 15-mile bike ride, but 9 of it is going to be the Mujer route. So you have the ability to learn how to use your gears and how to shift. You get the feeling of what Heartbreak Hill is going to be well before race day, because what you don't want to do on race day is anything new.
Yeah.
You want to have already gone through this.
You don't want to come into this blindsided by something that you don't know about. So that's awesome that they offer those services, especially for first-timers, you know, who don't know what they're getting into. It's just an idea they had that they're trying to accomplish, and so any help they can get is well accepted.
Yeah, and you know, these are well attended classes too, these clinics. I mean, they're not talking like 5 or 7 people. No, 30, 40, 50 people are showing up. Women who say, you know what, I've never done this before. And really, that for me, that's how I met many of the people that I continue to train with to this day. You met Jessica Carrillo, who you know, earlier this year is volunteering today, but was one of the first athletes, one of the originals when this race first began. And she's gone on. This was a woman who, as you mentioned, had never ridden a bike. I mean, she'd never owned a bike and never ridden one. And she really wasn't a runner. And then she was the one who said, I think I want to go do a half marathon. And I had to tell her, really? You're going to go do that? And I went out and I cheered for her. And, you know, really, honestly, Jessica is the one who got me to think, well, maybe I could try that. And now I've got a couple of them under my belt. So you really see that positivity rubbing off, like woman to woman, family to family.
Definitely, and it is very inspiring. Seeing all these women makes me want to try it.
Me too.
I feel like I can do it also. It's just the matter of willpower.
I'm telling
How
you
bad
guys,
do you want
making the time to learn. Do you know how to swim, Ali?
I know how to not drown.
I know how to I can get around,
a
but
little
not
doggy
like,
paddle going.
but-
Yeah, I know how to not drown, but
Yeah.
I'm not a swimmer. I can't imagine myself, you know, going through the 300 yards.
Yeah, but that's what those classes are for, to show
Absolutely.
you form and technique and all that.
So one of the other things that's coming up, I believe it's in June, is called a Mission Valley Duathlon, and that's going to be flat as a pancake, so you don't have to worry about any hills. And that is just a run, bike, run. So there's no swimming involved. If you want to start like getting into that, you know, Race El Paso has that as their next race. I mentioned the Sun City Splash and Dash, which is the kids' race. But if you want to go and do your very first triathlon, there would be an ability to, this is Abby Diaz, good friend of ours, good friend to Race El Paso. Hi. Yeah, I'm fancy. You want to come and be on TV? Because you are too late. Let me grab this microphone. This is Ali Diaz. Abby.
Hi, congratulations. I see you finished already.
Abby, you're training. What are you training for this year? Because the Mujer, really, guys, for her is more of a warm-up. What are you training for?
I am going to do Monterey, the 70.3 in about 21 days.
Yeah, so
70.3
That's a half Ironman. A
7.3 miles.
Yeah, explain. They don't understand
Wow.
what a half Ironman is, so break it down for them. What's the distance?
So a half Ironman is 1.2 mile swim, and it can either be in a canal, open water, and then 56 miles on the bike, and then
oh my,
half a marathon.
Yeah, you finish it up with half a marathon.
My jaw dropped.
And then we only do halves. There's some people out here that do full marathons, full Ironman, and we're just like, okay,
Right.
I'm not worthy.
We are certainly not worthy. So Abby got involved with Mighty Mujer some years ago. Do you want to tell your story? I don't know why you're pointing at me. No, tell the story, because what we're sharing with our audience today, and we've got people from all over the country watching, is for those women who think, maybe I could, I'm not sure, you know, what pushed you into getting into it?
So I actually was a runner. I was a ballet dancer, and then I got into running. And this beautiful, gorgeous woman before you,
she's exaggerating.
I had her son in my class. She walks in with this logo on her shirt, and I was like, what's Mighty Mujer? I had never heard of it. I didn't even know what a triathlon was. And then I was like, wait a minute. So she's a mom. She's got, at that time, she had 2 babies at home. Now she's got 3. She's a professional. So and she does this like on her spare time. So it was really Miss O'Hara that was really like guided me through, like, I can do this, like I can be a mom, I can be a professional, or I don't have to be a mom, but there's a discipline in all of us, and this one sparked it. And it's just paved the way after that.
She really gives me more credit than I deserve.
No, that's what it was.
But
she came in glowing, and I was like, she's amazing.
But in actuality, one of the things about Abby is, again, a professional, a mom who finds the time. And now, I was telling you earlier about these elite athletes. She has gone from doing the super sprint, which we've talked about the distances, to a half Ironman. How do you make the leap from a smaller distance race to something like that?
So, a gang, you have girls that are like, come on girl, we gotta get up. And then it was really just with you, guiding me. And then after a while, it's like, hey, do you wanna do a little bit more? Do you wanna, hey, so there's like a half Ironman, like not too far away. And then you get your group of girls together and you're like, okay, let's go do it. And so you pack up and it's just like an adult girls road trip, but with like suffering and boogers coming out your nose. And it's amazing. It's so much like sisterhood that comes with it. I mean, we see men with their football and their soccer games, and this, look at this.
Yeah.
See, it's just amazing. It's just, baby steps, but it's become a lot. It's become a lifestyle, and everybody's like going out at night, and you're like, I can't, I gotta swim at 5 in the morning. So, but
there's some sacrifice. There's some sacrifice. But really, Abby, again, I go back to the stories that we've told all morning long about I wonder if I can do it too, I'm going to do it. I mean, this is part of a Crazy Cat Cyclery women's team. Like, she is now doing this. This is considered an elite athlete now.
Would it be considered, we talk about the runner's high, an athlete's high. Once you get started and you see how well you can do, is that what almost pushes you to be like, I want to do more. I want to move up to the next step. I know I can do more than this.
I think that's a part of it, but I think what's also a part for me, for me, is my eldest is a swimmer, and I look at him, he swims 6,000 meters in the morning and then 6,000 in the afternoon, and I'm like, wow. And then my youngest plays soccer. I mean, they're really they're my North Star, my compass, the ones that are like, I'm out here too. So, if I really believe that with, family and support, that's the high that I get. They were out here today, and I'm like, I support you with driving over here and driving over there. Like, one day out of the year that you can support me, that's the best part for me. Other than that, like the runner's high, when you're like, okay, I got 2 laps to go, I'm gonna do it. I mean, that's just instinctual, like that survival would be like, okay, I'm gonna do it, I'm right there. But for me, it's my boys. That's my high. Sorry.
Cool. No, you're fine. Abby, thank you so much. Congratulations.
No, of course.
Congratulations.
Feel free to crush our live shots anytime.
Congratulations.
Congrats. So, it
Okay.
sounds like
Dawn
Dawn
is standing by.
Hi guys, so we're with Waiska. She is a true Mighty Mujer, a W amputee. This is her second triathlon and her first Mighty Mujer. Talk to us about what it was like for you to do this race.
Well, it was really hard, especially in the bike part, because the course with all those uphills, downhills, uphills, downhills. So try to control the bike, and then you have to shift for a downhill and then shift for uphills. And then those 2 uphills on Harrison Street was really tough. Doing twice because I did the super sprint, so it was really hard. And then go and you have to do the running course, and your legs, you almost don't feel your legs. The first turn was just trying to keep going with my legs, and the second and the first one were really good.
How was the swim for you?
The swim was really, for me it's my easy part. It's my easy part because I'm a swimmer, so I'm just trying to see how it's going on for me with triathlon. And normally the swimming part is it's easy for me.
At what part as a double amputee did you decide that you wanted to start doing triathlons?
Well, as double amputee it takes time because you have to adaptate all your equipment, especially your bike. You have to do some races till you find the right equipment and the right position for all the devices that your bike must wear. So, but then in this second triathlon, I think I'm ready to get ready to the first one and get everything together exactly as I need. It takes time.
What is your message to the women at home who think, I can't do this?
Well, girls, you can do it. There is no excuses. It's just matter to take your decision and come and do it. That's it.
Will you be back next year?
Yes, of course, I will be back.
Congratulations. We'll see you next year. What an inspirational story, guys. We'll send it back to you. All right, so talk to me about what's the energy like here?
Well, it's a really nice energy. Everybody pushing you, telling you, go, you can do it. And all these women giving their best for this career, for this race, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Everybody pushing you, supporting you, and yeah, of course.
Are there any special accommodations that you had given that you're a double amputee? What kind of help did you get, or were you allowed to get based on the rules?
Well, based on the rules, normally in Paralympians we need some technical assistance. For example, if you are a double amputee, you need someone to help you to get out of the sea if it's on open waters, or to get out of the swimming pool, in this case in an indoor pool. And if in my case I don't have a hand, I need assistance to put my Hamlet and to put the number and all this stuff. But it depends of the disability and how hard or not is the disability. Yeah.
And it was interesting, you said that for you the easiest part was the swim, you're a swimmer, and the hardest part is the bike. And I think a lot of people who are new to the sport don't realize biking is much harder than it looks or than it seems.
Yeah, especially if you are not a cyclist and you are not used how to handle it with the bike, because it's easy to know how to ride a bike, but dominate the sport is really hard, especially with wind. And for me, going uphill, I can't stand on my bike. It means that I can't have an extra support going up. So it's hard. It's really hard.
Did you do the sprint or the super sprint?
The sprint. The longer one, yeah, I did.
And you've done where was the other triathlon that you did aside from this one?
Before this one, Eagle in the Sun last year. That was my very, very first one. It was a really nice race. Yeah, for me it was amazing.
What an inspiration. Thank you so much for joining us. We just love hearing your story. And I feel like for people who think, I can't do this, you are a great sense of inspiration. Yes, you can. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of strong finishes here at the finish line. It's really loud, which is a good thing, and that really helps the runners cross the finish line after the swim, the bike, and then the run. We'll send it back to you.
So we are here live in Central El Paso. Again, we've continued our morning broadcast, with the Mighty Mujer. And we're joined here with a first-time Mighty Mujer. So congratulations. Let's get your name real quick.
My name is Danny Madrano.
Danny, you were saying this is your first one. I was asking you about the course. Tell me again about how the course is going.
So yes, it's my first triathlon. The swimming was probably the most difficult because I don't like to swim. I can swim in a pool, but not like an Olympic pool. But the biking was great. It was pretty tough going up Alabama and coming back down, but it was great. It was great. The funnest part was coming downhill because you're going super fast.
For women that are watching this right now and they're like, well, maybe I want to try it out. What was the first step? Like, what did you do first as far as training for the triathlon?
So the first thing I did was I got a training plan. They have training plans online that you can do. And that's what I started. I started a 6-week course. I think it was 6 or 7 weeks.
swimming, biking, running. I trained on a mountain bike. It was atrocious because the bike is heavy. It's not made to ride on the road, you know.
Right.
And then I bought a road bike, and it was so much simpler. I actually swam and got a coach to help me swim, to teach me how to swim and breathe properly underwater and move. And once you learn the swimming, it builds your endurance so much for the biking and the running. It's unbelievable how much better you feel after you swim for so long and train that way. So yeah.
Wow, and you mentioned your friend inspired you to do this. You said
Yes.
you would have never thought about
no.
participating in a triathlon. What about to everyone who's watching who also thinks like that, to convince them to do this?
You know, I mean, like I said, I'm not much of an athlete. I'm 30. I guess you could say in your prime, but not really. But I probably would have never done it. But the women here, the encouragement, the vibe that you get once you get here, and how you feel afterwards is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, but once you get done, you realize, you know what? If I can do this, I can do anything. I really, really can. And that's how I feel. I encouraged myself, and I was like, you're almost there, halfway there, a quarter month, you're done. And you feel so good afterwards.
Will you do it again?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna sign up for two more triathlons later this year here in El Paso.
She already signed up. It's the first thing she did.
Yeah, I was like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna sign up for that one.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, congratulations on a great race.
Thank
you for joining us.
Of course.
And you have a great day.
Oh,
get some food, get some rest.
Yes, thank you so much.
You.
Okay.
In the meantime, I understand that Chuck and Sandra are standing by. Remember, they're again at Alabama and Nashville, where Our Lady of Guadalupe Church is. That's along the bike route. Guys, what's going on out there?
Hey, you know what is super cool? We have some News Channel 9 viewers that watched us on TV and decided to come down here and be spectators right here, the Chavez family. We have Alfredo, Isaac, and Lily here. Come on in and talk to us here, Alfredo. You decided to come on down, and what was the reason?
Well, I was watching the news this morning. I was channel surfing, and then I saw their, I guess their name is one of the anchors over there. She said there was in El Paso, and I realized there was a race going on. I was telling my wife that it was real neat that they have this Mighty Mujeres race, and then I thought it was the first year, but then she said no, it's the seventh, and I went, man, where have I been for 6 years, and I didn't realize they did this every year.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we're so great that we're so happy that we're able to televise this. But talk to us about some of the things that you found so impressive once you got out here.
Well, on the TV, I saw this lady that had a right leg and a right arm amputated, and I was like, now that's a mighty mujer. And then I told my wife, hey, let's go out there, we'll just cheer them on as they go by. And I mean, it's kind of sad there's no more people out here, but all those ladies are competing. They're all mighty mujeres, are coming out here and doing all that stuff. I couldn't do it, you know.
Exactly. And now you kind of recognize this young lady. She's returned to Channel 9, Sandra Ramirez, but how did you recognize her?
Well, I'm a part of the Knights of Columbus and Most Holy Trinity here in Northeast, and she's one of the patrons, and she walks by, and I see all my other patrons, and I'm good with faces. And I saw her, and I said, I know that lady, and so I asked her, and she said, yeah, we're there, and so that's why I know her.
We're neighbors. Yeah, we're neighbors. It's great to see you out here. And it was really great to see you kind of cheering some of the people on. I mean, did you notice at this point coming up that hill, some of them are really struggling, having a hard time. Some of them are just kind of speeding past. I mean, was it important for you to encourage them and cheer them on and make sure they got through it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially we saw this lady, you could tell that she was hurting. And but a little cheer motivated her, and she kept on going. I think she already passed, so at least she went to the turnaround. And the others are more athletic, you can tell, and they're kind of just sliding on by. And but you know, they're all athletes in any way. They're competing, so they're all athletes.
And you're a proud El Pasoan. I see that you're a retired Marine, and also you're representing a certain high school.
Oh yeah, La Boy. All right, she's from Andress, but everybody makes mistakes, you know.
And your grandson goes to
Andress,
as
yeah.
well. Hey, thank you for watching News Channel 9 and supporting Mighty Mujer and cheering on the athletes. Again, your grandson's here and your wife as well. Thank you for coming out.
No, thank you for the interview.
Thank you,
Thank
Alfredo.
We'll see you.
Yeah, and one of the things that we saw was police escorting what they told us was the last cyclist on this route. So we're waiting for her to make the turnaround and come back around. But police tell us she is doing the extended version, so she still has to go around a second time. So police are escorting right behind her. There's a truck just in case she can't do it. So, I mean, we'll kind of keep you posted, but it looks like they tell us that she was the last cyclist, so she has made it. She's making her way through the final round of this.
And so cool, the Chavez family brought their chairs and their snacks, and they're cheering on, and some of the spectators here today. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Chuck. So it sounds like we've got our last cyclist out there. So at that point from where they are, by the time they make that Pierce turnaround, you know, we're probably looking at about another half hour for her. Meanwhile, we've had a number of people who've come in, lots and lots of finishers, which has just been fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of excitement. And in order for all of this to even be possible, we need a lot of help. We need a lot of volunteers. We need police. And we do. There's over 150 volunteers here today.
150 volunteers and a lot of groups that have been out here as well. We've had certainly UPS has been out here, Starbucks, Wiggs Middle School, National Junior Honor Society, Team Fuerte with Triathlon Club. So we've had a lot of folks out here, Natasha.
Stephanie Carr, with the CEO of the Center Against Family Violence, also says that a lot of survivors volunteer as well. They like getting out there and supporting their fellow survivors. So they're out here as well.
Certainly, as we've mentioned, Mighty Mujer being used as a fundraiser for the Centers Against Family and Sexual Violence. So that's been something that we've been talking about through the morning. Again, the hashtag that is used out here and has been used for years, hashtag I am mighty. And we just really embrace that, really love it. Allie, you've got some guests that have
Yes, I
joined
do,
us.
and I see you look very young. So, is this your sister? No, if you guys can introduce yourselves.
I'm Maria Kutaleng, and I'm 13.
13, ma'am.
And I'm Luz Kutaleng, and I'm 52.
52. So you guys are a mother-daughter duo doing this triathlon. First time?
First time for me.
For you?
Fourth time.
Oh, okay. So is your mom the one who inspired you to get into this?
Yes.
So what was it like? What was it like?
I was really empowered by all the people supporting around. And yes, it was very tiring, but at the end when I just crossed the finish line, it was all worth it.
Did you and your mom train together?
Yes.
So did she train you, or how did it work? What was it like?
We would have to wake up early in the morning to come swim and then bike, and there was also like a ton of people when we were practicing just telling me to try hard.
And how do you feel about your daughter?
Very good, because she believed me when I'm running. She's better than me, so no, I can run. Let me get you, please. So that's okay.
No, that's amazing. So you would get up early to train and then go to school?
No, it was
on the weekends?
Weekends, and then after school I would have track practice or some type of sport to do.
Yeah, and so you said you're 13. What do your friends think about you participating in this?
Oh, they always kind of like joke around, being like, "Of course you would do this. You're so athletic," and they're coming to support me.
Awesome, that's amazing. So, did you feel intimidated at all by seeing so many people here?
Yes, because I got really intimidated because I would just look at them and I'm like, wow, they have so many years of practice and I'm barely 13.
Are you going to continue to do this?
Yes, a lot.
What was the hardest part of the race for you all?
The end of the bicycle.
The end of the bicycle.
Oh, that's
the hills.
Yeah, all of the hills were extremely hard.
That's tough, but you did it, and that's what matters. And did you guys have a large support system here with you today, cheering you on?
Yes. We have a lot of friends, and they help us. Yeah,
push you through.
Group.
Are you ladies from El Paso? Yes, awesome. So representing the city and just very exciting. I'm humbled by seeing all these women here today. I have never done anything like this, and seeing someone so young like you, it's just, we need to get out there.
We need it.
Hey Mom, real quick, so you started to do this 4 years ago. Why did you decide to do this?
It's something just for you. You need to do it, and when you get it, you feel you can do everything you want to do. Yes.
It's a very empowering moment. Congratulations to the two of you.
Thank you.
You look beautiful today, and you look strong today, so congratulations.
Thank you, ladies, and
Good
we'll
job.
see you next year.
Yes.
Thank you. I feel that's the message we've been getting from a lot of the finishers that we've been speaking to. When you cross that finish line, you feel I can do anything.
You know what I love is the mother saying, this is for me. This is something that I can do. This is something for me.
You know,
because you get caught up,
mom
taking care
to mom.
of the baby.
So Natasha, new mom.
Yes.
I'm a little bit more on in my years insofar as motherhood is concerned. It's really easy, and we hear this all the time about, putting everybody else before you, right? Everything happens before you. This is taking a piece of you back. So I love the fact that this is happening, and kudos to all of them.
And I think we have Andy and Monica standing by. Their location was over on Heartbreaker Hill, that dreadful hill that the cyclists didn't want to get to. What's it looking like? Is there still cyclists out there?
Yeah, we're just waiting for the last 2 cyclists to get through over by Heartbreak Hill. We were being told that they were battling it out through that big hill in Alabama, Andy. They were having a little bit of problems, but they're on their way.
On their way, and we've seen a lot of inspirational stories really throughout the day. And, you and I have been saying it back and forth. Granted, we're not on other parts of the race, but I feel like we had kind of the best seat in the house as far as coming over this hill and just really seeing the true grit in order to accomplish something that's so amazing.
Yeah, first place or last place. These women are incredible. Just to be able to say you finished the trail, the whole thing, is just impressive, mighty in itself.
Yeah, I look at it and it makes me feel like, waking up in the morning, going to the gym, that is not nearly, I feel like I can do that a lot better now. So all is fairly quiet right now on Heartbreaker Hill. Still got a couple cyclists, as Monica just said, coming up the hill. That's kind of where we stand right now.
Yeah, and so we'll notice them right away. They're going to be followed by a patrol car at this point in time, and so we're just keeping an eye out to see the minute they start making their track through this hill.
Overall, though, been a lot of fun out here.
Lots of fun here. Do it again next year, yes?
Absolutely.
All right. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Andy and Monica. They talked about waiting for the last cyclist who's now out on the course. They will, of course, be escorted in by El Paso PD. One of the things that's really cool is they'll come in off the bike course. They'll get into transition 2. They still need to finish their run. And what will you see is going to be a number of these volunteers that will run behind the last runner to celebrate. They may be the last one on the course, but they are certainly not the last one on anybody's mind. And so they are celebrated just as much as any of the athletes that we have seen come through earlier today. It's just a really great moment. Right after that, it'll take a few moments for Race El Paso to reset, and then they will begin the awards ceremony.
Exactly, and we have another finisher here with us today. We have Ophelia and Team O celebrating. Welcome, thank you for joining us here today. I was actually watching you guys from over here. I saw the back of your shirts. We have Mighty Dad, we have Mighty Sister. Let's see the back of your shirts. Mighty Son. Mighty husband. So your support team came ready. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. And it's always nice to have my pit crew, my Team O behind me and stuff.
Is this your first time, or have you done this multiple times?
This is my 5th time.
This
is my 5th time.
Okay. How did you get involved in the very first time?
I actually was turning 50 and I felt like I needed to do something to signify that mile marker. So I thought, I'll try a triathlon, and I started training, and next thing you know, here I am 5 years later still doing them.
Wow, a lot of people celebrate their 50th birthday a little bit different. So your family, how much of a support have they been for you from the first one that you did? You obviously had to start from somewhere to get to this level.
Well, the fact that I'm gone part of the week when I go swim or when I go run, and knowing that they're at home okay, and that my husband is taking care of them, is feeding them or feeding themselves and stuff, that helps a lot.
How does it feel having that medal on right now?
It feels great. It's a great accomplishment, and it's worth all the sweat and blood and tears and everything that we have all week, all year long, training to this.
Ophelia, one of the things that we've talked about a lot is how this race, the Mighty Mujer vibe kind of runs off on friends and coworkers. And how has that worked in your life?
Well, it's very important to have that support group of Mighties. We call each other Mighties, and it's like, hey, Mighty, and knowing that we're all going through the same thing, we all have the same challenges, but then we also have these wonderful victories at the end of the day. it's great to have that support.
After you completed your first one, did you inspire any of your friends or other family members to do it also?
I still can't convince my family members, but some of my friends do this. Some co-workers also.
Very nice. How do you guys feel about your mom doing this? How do you
Very
guys
proud
feel?
of her, obviously. I mean, she's an amazing woman. She deserves it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, are you guys getting involved in triathlon or in an active living lifestyle as a
I'd
result?
be interested in it. I sure be down for
If your mom is doing it, you can do it.
Yeah. Okay, Ophelia, that means you guys need to sign up for Eagle now.
Right.
That's how that
we
goes.
have about 4 months to train.
Yeah, you can do it. You'll have your mom pushing you there.
Sounds good. Ophelia, thank you so much. Family, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, and congratulations, and we'll see you again doing it next year.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank
so
you guys.
much. So again, we're talking about how, age is not a reason not to do this. Weight is not a reason not to do this. Saying, well, I've never done this before, not a reason not to do this. These are the stories of all the athletes. Everybody here comes with a story, but not one person said, no, not me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she said she did this because she turned 50
years old.
And it's just amazing. I would never imagine wanting to celebrate my birthday in such a unique way. But
Triathlon.
Yeah, and the triathlon.
We can do it this year, Allie.
They keep trying to push me to do a triathlon.
We're going to do it this year.
Yeah. I think that they're telling us that Andy and Monica are on Heartbreaker Hill. I think they're seeing now the final cyclist coming through. Yes, the last cyclist is going through. Andy, Monica?
Yeah, final cyclist just about to kind of make their way. They're still about, I'd say maybe 300 yards, 400 yards away from us, so still kind of a little ways to go. But there you see, got a whole police escort and everything. Isn't that right, Monica?
I know, that's crazy. Now, what we're being told is that it's the last female competitor here. She's just being followed by another person just to make sure that everything is okay. It's a male, but the last competitor is starting to make her way down Heartbreaker Hill at this point in time.
Yeah, and I think it's really awesome the way that you kind of put it in our last hit here. Whether you finish first in this race or you finish last, everyone's a winner, especially if you're able to kind of cross the finish line.
Yeah.
So that's what really makes this kind of special. And there you kind of see it, last cyclists making their way up the hill.
Yeah, I think Andy and I are going to be the first ones cheering her on, making this trek, only because it's a tough one, Andy. We've seen the faces of these women trying to overcome this hill. Thankfully, every single woman that we've seen has successfully completed it. Taken, of course, for granted that some people do. They have
different strategies.
Right.
We saw the first couple cyclists. I'm sure probably some of the first couple finishers too. Just zoom up it like it was really nothing. And then kind of towards the middle of the race, you started to see some different strategies, whether it be kind of slowly making their way up the hill by cycling it. We've also seen some competitors just completely basically ditch riding the bike and then basically just picking it up and walking back up the hill. So we've seen different styles throughout the morning, but you're right, Monica, we've seen everyone able to kind of make it past this hill, and you just kind of see their faces light up once they get past this point. Is just you're home free.
Yeah, basically once you get to the peak of the hill, just making your way down, I think it's just a smooth cruise, at least for a little bit before you
get off the bike and then you start running.
Yeah, so there she is. She's making it down that hill. That's, I guess, a little bit of an easy stretch, but here comes the hard part. Making it up this second hill, this is going to be the test.
This is where the muscles start contracting. You're going to start seeing their probably shift gears a little bit, and we've seen the volunteers here all day long, really just giving some words of encouragement, the cheering, inspirational in itself. But it's been a fun morning, no doubt about that, and it's starting to come to an end here on Heartbreaker
Yes,
Hill.
it really is. Now, here's a test. If she slows down any more than that, she is going to fall off her bike at this point in time.
You kind of see it.
She really needs to keep the momentum if she wants to make it all the way through on her bike. Okay, so it looks like she's gotten off a little bit.
Ditch the bike.
Yeah.
And we've seen that a little bit here on Heartbreaker Hill. I mean, you just just get to a certain point when you stop pedaling.
Yeah.
You're either gonna go backwards or you gotta ditch.
Yes.
You gotta ditch riding. So there you see her
So
kind
there
of
she's doing
walking it up.
She's a mighty mujer overall, just to do the swimming part, then the bike, then the run. It takes a lot of motivation, a lot of mental strength more than anything else.
Man, I'm just tired watching her. And
Yes.
final cyclists,
So-
as we say, just making their way up Heartbreaker Hill on the corner of Arizona and Golden Hill Terrace is where we are at. Very picturesque morning here in central El Paso. There you see she got the thumbs up.
Yeah, she's the strong one. She's a really strong woman. And here's what we're talking about. Once she gets to where the orange barrels are, she's pretty much home free at this point in time. Then she can get back on her bike and do the nice smooth ride back down the hill before she has to make that turn.
Just look at all the support
Yeah,
that you get too.
you got this.
Everyone, man, you got this. You got it.
Mighty mujer overall. Way to go. This is incredible.
Number 497, there she is.
You got this. Real quickly, shout out your name. Riverside,
Anita
California. You
Ruiz,
got this.
Riverside, California. This way, Anita.
Gotta go that way.
All downhill from there. You
Yeah,
got it.
you got it. Wow. Incredible. I couldn't do this at this point even if I wanted to, Andy.
And there goes Anita Ruiz, the last cyclist to make it over the top of Heartbreaker Hill. It's been a fun morning here.
It really has. And this breeze, at first, very, very chilly. Now we're starting to get a little used to it.
Yep. It's been a good one. Last cyclist is over Heartbreaker Hill, so let's send it back to you.
Sounds good.
Last
So,
cyclist.
you know,
Man, they're powering through it though.
my heart was racing as they were talking about her coming over
Yeah.
that first hill, you know, coming down so quickly, and then you feel that pumping. Just go, go. And, you know, right now she's feeling that in her legs. She is so relieved to be done right now because it really is all downhill. She is going to go down. I understand now that we have, who is standing by right now? Is it Dawn? Who
Dawn.
is standing
Dawn.
by
Dawn down at the finish
line with Sylvia Barunda Firth, who is our city attorney. Dawn.
Yeah, guys, it's hard to recognize her in her triathlon gear, but this is Sylvia Firth. She just finished her second Mighty Mujer. Talk to us about how it felt doing this course.
It was great. We couldn't ask for a better day. It was wonderful out there, just a little breezy, but just enough to keep it cool. And there was a lot of energy and excitement from all the women and all the people that came out to support.
You told me you started training in January. You're a cyclist by trade. That's kind of what you do.
Right.
And you were the most concerned about the swim.
That's correct. Last year was my first attempt. I had to learn how to lap swim last year, so I spent a lot of time in the pool this year because I lacked confidence, and I was able to shave some significant time off my swim time. But the bike course was a challenge up there with the wind in your face and on those hills. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of people out there cheering.
And you and I were talking about when you do a triathlon, there's something that happens when you leave your bike and start for that run. Talk to us about
It
that.
takes a little while to find your legs. When we are parking the bikes and you can hear everybody cheering, telling you to run, you just can't. Your legs aren't quite connected for a little while, but once you get going, you find your legs and get it finished.
How long did it take you to find your legs?
I would say just about maybe 3 minutes to get from the entrance to get to the beginning of the run.
That's great. Now, as someone who's a leader here in our community and with the city, how do you feel about El Paso putting together this all-female event?
I think it's fabulous. I think it's a very empowering event for women. And one of the best things about this event is the time that leads up to training. When you go to the pools, you go out to run, you run into other women who are training. When it's your first time, people take you under wing and help you, give you lots of advice. It's a real nurturing and supportive event and really very empowering. I'm probably one of the oldest competitors out here, but it feels really good to do something that you never thought you could.
You need to get a city council women's team for next year and get all the ladies training, and then we'll be back next year to talk to them about how it goes. You can be the team leader.
Okay.
Sylvia, congratulations. Nice to see you out of the office, and congratulations on being a Mighty Mujer.
Thank you for coming out and supporting the event. Thank you very much.
We're glad to be here. Ladies, back to you.
All right, thank you, Dawn. Okay, we're here with another finisher, Erica, and she's here with her whole family, with her little girl, too.
Yes, my husband and my kids,
Okay,
Eva and Sergio.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling exhilarated. It's so much fun. A little bit tired, I guess.
Okay, so I see you're a mommy. So how was the training for the triathlon?
It was intense. If you really want to do well, you got to train. You got to train. You know, you got to be up at 5 o'clock in the mornings, you know, to do your swim trainings and dedicate times in the evenings to do your runs and your bikes. It's, you know, it's intense, but it's fun. It's worth it.
Is this your first triathlon?
That's my first try. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wow. So what was it like crossing that finish line? All your hard work.
It was. I felt accomplished. Better said. I felt like, hey, I could do this. Once I got cardiac kill, I actually yelled, "I did this!" It was so much fun. Yes, crossing that finish line was great. It's a great feeling.
How is it having your family out here?
Oh, I have my family. I had a lot of cousins and friends out here, co-workers to support, and not only the family and friends, but also the people around you. They support you. They cheer you on. You know, people who you pass it up, they say keep on going, go, 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 and everybody's cheering for you. It's so great.
Yeah, so
the atmosphere.
It's a competition. You are racing against the clock.
Yes.
But it's very interesting to hear about when you're passing people, like you just said, and they're cheering for you, like telling you, yes, go.
Yes, ma'am. It sounds kind of counterintuitive when people are like, go, 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 when you're beating them, but you know, it's more of a competition with yourself, more of a competition that, hey, you're doing this and you want to do this, then you're going to finish cross the finish line.
Were you nervous when it was your time to get into the pool?
Yes, I was shaking right before you got in the water. I had full-blown panic attack, but as soon as you hit the water and you go, it's all gone.
The training kicks in.
There you go. Well, kind of. My coach was there too. She was yelling at me, "Put your head in the water."
One of the questions that we've been asking a lot of the women, especially the first timers, is what made you want to do this? What was it for you?
Turning 40. Is what.
Looks like we're getting a lot of milestone
life crisis. You know, turning 40, and I had coworkers who did it. Also, they were mommies and worked full time and everything else. So I had no excuse. There's really no excuse not to be able to do this. So it was more of a feeling that I wanted to do. I needed to accomplish this for myself.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. So did you start to see, like, as a mom, as you know, you're growing your family, has your healthy, active living had a positive influence in your family? You think these guys are going to come and do some racing?
Well,
any races in the future for you guys?
I told her I would if she did.
Yeah, so now he has to do a race in September.
Yeah.
So
He says I have to do it if she did it.
Yeah.
So that's the way it should be. All right, Erica, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much,
Congratulations.
Thank you for the coverage.
Thank you. Set this down. What I want to point out also, Monica was talking earlier about the final cyclist. That doesn't mean she's coming in last place.
Correct.
So right now, these are just our finishers, and whether you finish last or you finished first, that doesn't automatically make you the winner. And so we're going to find that out shortly after the last athlete comes in, right?
Sure. And one of the things that you'll notice right behind us is the Texas Tech University sports medicine tent. But on the other side of them is a tent for race results. So those people who are done, you know, they know what their time was now in the swim, in transition, on the bike, second transition, and the run. So now they know what their time is, but they don't know what their standings are. And that's what gets calculated at the end of the race.
Right.
And so a lot of the people that you see out here are still waiting for their athletes. They're also waiting to see how they placed within the overall group. Remember that we're looking at age groupers, a lot of them here. You could also be looking at Athena athletes. So they're just really looking to see where they place in an overall field of athletes. And so that ceremony will be taking place here in the expo, where there are a number of vendors out here, sponsors, that have really just come together and are here to celebrate these mighty mujeres.
And it's part of that active lifestyle, that active, healthy living lifestyle.
There you go.
Look at those women still coming in on the finish line.
That's right. So we've got Susie out there, I believe.
Susie and Dawn.
Susie and Dawn, who are out near the finish line. Let's see what they're up to. Susie.
Yeah, so we are at the finish line, a lot of cheers, a lot of support, and it's nice to see a lot of families here together supporting their moms, their sisters, their aunts and grandmas.
It felt very emotional, as you can see some of the runners coming by. Sometimes you'll see the kids running beside them, assumably the mother, and sometimes the husband running alongside the wife, I'm assuming, to the finish line, and it gets very emotional.
Yeah, it's been really touching, and we've seen so many strong finishes, which is so nice to see. And I think when you get to this atmosphere, kind of sometimes alone on the course, just with your thoughts, and then when you get to this final stretch, you hear the music, you see a loved one, you read the sign, and it just really gives you that extra boost of energy to take you through the finish line. So it's been really great to see all the strong finishes from women of all ages, all backgrounds. We've heard so many great stories today. So this is truly a mighty day for all of us.
That's great to hear. Yeah, you know, he was talking with Sylvia Barunda first. You know, I was around last year when she was first starting to dip her toe into this, if you will. She mentioned the fact that, you know, swimming was the part that gave her a little bit of anxiety. And, you know, she went to those swim clinics and put in the time, and she comes from a cycling background. Again, we're talking about the ability to cross-train. Again, you've heard from, you know, somebody who's like our city of El Paso attorney to moms and people who just decided, hey, you know what, I'm having a birthday, I would like to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, this really just goes the scope. And again, you know, I don't know if you've noticed, but a couple of the women that have come up here as they're telling their story, I don't know that it's translating so well on Facebook Live, but they're getting a little bit misty sometimes in the way that they're retelling their story about how they go through. And, you know, really, I'm just always intrigued by that backstory of
how did you get here?
How did you get here? How hard did you have to work? What were those early mornings for you to get here and have this celebratory moment? So kudos for all of them.
Yeah, we're hearing so many different types of stories, and I think, you know, this just plays into this whole mighty mujer. We're all mighty, and there's over 500 athletes out here today. So any story you can think of, you can probably find it. Any reason for them to want to do this, you'll find it out here.
A great field. And again, I want to go ahead and just, you know, give a little bit of a nod of appreciation here to all of the volunteers. There are 150 of them out here. In addition to that, you've got more than 50 El Paso police officers that have been out here. All of the support for the various athletes. You're talking several hundred people out here, you know, probably more than 1,000 people out here easily.
Yeah, and those volunteers are helping make sure that everyone stays safe, everyone stays on track where they need to be, which safety is the #1 priority aside from getting across that finish line.
Right. At this point, really what we're waiting to hear is whether that last cyclist is coming off the course, entering T2 and beginning to start their run. Again, you know, Dawn was mentioning the fact that we've seen so many strong finishes. Look at, as you know, as they go running through, raising the hands,
that rocking stance.
Yeah, absolutely. Pumping their arms, just really enjoying this celebratory moment. Again, this is not about who's coming in first, second, and third. I mean, we certainly have those athletes that are coming in to podium. But the majority of this field coming out to be able to have a self-accomplishment. So just fantastic for them. Just a great day to be out
Ali
there.
and I are inspired, right?
We are, but I wouldn't put me down for a triathlon just yet, okay? Speaking with those finishers, I noticed that a lot of them, their biggest challenge, they say, was the pool. That seemed to be the common denominator between all of them. And that's what we were talking about. If you're afraid of water, if something happens in the water, you drown. So I'm sure it's very intimidating.
But I want to share with you all a story out on Facebook Live, and it's a story. It's a little bit of an expansion of the story that Gabriela Gallegos was telling us the other day, where there was not last year, but 2 years ago, I was lined up for the super sprint, and the sprinters were already in the water, and there was a woman who was struggling, and at one point, it appeared like she was going under. The lifeguards did jump into the water and were right there ready, and she waved them off. She doggy paddled her way to the wall, held on to the wall. Gabriela Gallegos, the race director, you know, is bending over. Are you okay? Do you want to get out? You want to continue? What do you want to do? Because it's the athlete's decision whether they're going to go on. And she waved him off and said no. And she, you know, caught her breath. It took her longer than normal to be able to get through this swim. As she was on the wall, and you can see Gabby from afar talking with her, that room erupted of people screaming at her, "You can do it. You've got this. You're a mighty mujer." And she took the deep breath. She pushed off the wall, and there were people crying. They didn't even know who this athlete is. You know, they had no idea. She doggy paddles her way down the length of the pool. She holds on to the wall one more time. She goes under the lane divider, swims it one more time. When she came out of the pool, I mean, it was an Academy Award moment because everybody was just flipping out. But again, I think that goes back to that support that you see out in the field of, I'm here, I'm with you. Now, could something have happened to her? I am absolutely convinced that, the lifeguards were on top of it. Nothing bad was going to happen here. But again, it speaks to that anxiety that people have about the water. And hey, we're starting to get more of our team joining us. Hi, Dawn. Look, and Daniel, Estefania.
Susie.
Yes, all the team.
We're all out here.
So it's just been a really great moment out here. I really like what you said about these really inspirational moments that are happening out in the field. Just a great day.
Great hearing all those backstories, like you said, especially about moms being able to accomplish this. This
Absolutely.
is amazing. Yeah.
So we are at this point really just kind of waiting to hear more about the last cyclist who is still out on the field. She's going to be coming into transition 2, and then she will be getting out on the run. We, however, are going to be wrapping up our broadcast here in just a moment. We thank everybody for joining us out here on Facebook Live. And, again, this has just been an incredible day.
It's been a lot of fun, and we had our crew all over the trail. Sandra, you and Chuck were over at Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, and you guys were just cheering everyone on. How fun was that? I'm sure a lot of fun.
No, it was actually a lot of fun. It was fun to see people come out who were watching the newscast on TV and said, I want to be out there and I want to cheer them on. And to see that they were so impressed and just the kind of determination that people had on their face. And when you cheered them on and you applauded them, they were happy to hear it. They wanted that motivation. They needed that motivation. So it was good to be there to help give them that. So we really loved it.
I was so motivated, I ran down here all the way from Alabama. And, man, that course is difficult. And to hear about the 18 miles, that just blew me away because all the people that were going to the confirmation at the church were asking, how long is this? Because it covers most of central El Paso. The bishop, I got to see Bishop Seitz. He wished all the athletes all the best. So it was
And
good.
you're inspired now, right, Chuck?
Yes.
Well, he ran over here. He did the triathlon by himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but to see spectators that actually saw us on TV come down, set up chairs and cheer them on, that was a good thing too. So.
Thanks, definitely. Thank you, Chuck. Put this down here. But overall, it's just been an amazing experience. I have never seen a triathlon before. I had heard of them. I had never seen it. I had never seen the type of work that goes into it. And it's just inspiring, very inspiring. I know we keep using that word a lot. It's probably overused, but I mean, that's just what it is.
It really
it's inspiring.
is, yeah.
And
especially being right here by the finish line, I'm sure you saw a lot of different faces, them crossing, just the excitement.
And I think, we're in our 7th year here with Mighty Mujer, and Liz, you and I are, I think, the only two who've done a triathlon, and I think this town is ready to take it to the next level. Let's do Olympic. Instead of super sprint and sprint,
I'm in.
These ladies can handle an Olympic-size, Olympic length event. And I think a lot of them would really do well in that. I think this town's ready. After 7 years.
I'm in. Don, I'm in.
Yeah, a lot of these women say that they're ready to go to the next level. A lot of them that we spoke to say we're ready.
The ones who finished quickly, they did this and they knew how to do it. That sprint is nothing for them.
Yeah.
The super sprint's a great way to get your feet wet. The sprint's a great, year 2, year 3. But for the ladies who've been doing this 7 years, they are ready for that Olympic-sized triathlon.
I agree. And I'm going to preemptively just share this message here. Gabby is going to be sharing this with the people who are here and are probably watching us on their Jumbotron, but Mighty Mujer is getting ready to expand. This started as a franchise here in El Paso, again going back to its 7 years. These women are ready to do something. Mighty Mujer will be going on the road, and she will be announcing here in just a little bit that Mighty Mujer is now going to have an all-female triathlon in Tucson. So that's going to be happening in October. So again, for all of you who are out here on Facebook Live and are in the process right now of thinking, do I want to do this? There's another opportunity.
Yeah.
You can do it.
So start your training now. There's no excuses. We heard it. Moms, professionals, everyone
celebrating
their
their 50 year
celebrating your 50
birthday.
years. Yeah. So there's no excuses, and overall, just an incredible experience to even be a part of this. We're not participants. We're just a part. We're on the sidelines, but it was just an incredible experience.
It was great. How are we doing as far as Facebook Live? What are we doing now? Looks like we've got our graphic up on Tucson. So It is now out there. It is time for us to say goodbye.
Yes.
Allie, Natasha,
Thank you for joining us all morning. We had so much fun.
Yeah, we did. We've been out here since early this morning, and everyone, thank you so much for joining us for our very first official broadcast of the Mighty Mujer Triathlon.
You all, thank you all very much.